Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, joining me as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all that sorts of good stuff. And, of course, it's Thursday, which means I am lucky and honored to be joined, first of all, by the wonderful Miss Erin Cummings. Erin, how you doing?
Oh, wait, you do know who I am? Because when I checked my Twitter this morning, you were like, who's this? I don't know you, girl. Broke my heart, I tell you. Broke my heart.
Well, you know, you got to keep everybody in place every once in a while. You just got to check everybody once in a while.
Oh, I got humbled, believe me.
I'm not going to hear the end of this. And also joining us, sitting over here, is one Miss Kris Carr. Kris, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I went the opposite way and was like, Erin, you're back.
Oh, it made me feel so good.
Excited. I missed you.
I missed you too.
By the way, good Star Wars RPG last night. We played
good.
We played we got a Star Wars role-playing game group, played it last night, had a lot of fun. Listen, guys, a lot of things for us to talk about here today. We're going to talk about these comments. A lot of people running stories right now that we could see Robert Pattinson's Batman and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker cross over. We're going to look into that, see what's there. Will Poulter gets cast in the new Lord of the Rings TV series. No online debut for the Birds of Prey and the Fabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn online. What? That and a few things more. So let's not waste any time and get into our main stories. Now, just before we do, though, I want to remind you guys to do just a couple of quick things as we get started. First of all, if you haven't done so already, make sure you click on that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to the John Campea YouTube channel. Stay up to date on all the things we've got going on here. If you like these sorts of discussions and videos, go on over and just click the thumbs up button. Give the video a thumbs up. And make sure, of course, as always, guys, you add your voices to the conversation. Jump down to the comments section below and leave a thought. Or if you want to make sure that your topic or question or comment gets read on the show, just go ahead and use the super chat feature. It's a great way to ensure that your comment does get read in a video. And of course, it's a great way to support the channel along the way. With that down, let's get into our main topics. And how do we select our main topics here? Well, it's simple. You guys come up with our main topics by simply going over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you get there, fill out the form with your topic or question, hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured here on The John Campea Show. With that down, Kris, what is our first main topic today?
Our first topic is from Justin Markle, who is very excited. He writes, John! The Bad Boy for Life trailer just dropped. I had given up hope a long time ago that would ever happen, and now the trailer is here. What do you think of it? For me, it totally got the magic of the originals, and I can't wait. Thanks for the show and all you do. Now, this dropped yesterday while we were filming. Are you excited about this? How do you feel?
It was about, we were wrapping up the main topics yesterday when the trailer dropped. We didn't have an opportunity to watch talk about it on yesterday's show. But yes, at long last, the Bad Boys for Life trailer is here. People have been talking Bad Boys for Life for years. When is this thing going to happen? They finally got things moving. And now the trailer is here. It's what I call the tangibilization of a movie when it's actually real to us. It's no longer just theoretical. We've got a trailer. It's real. And it sucks. I'm sorry. It's a bad trailer. It's not a good trailer. Now, listen, I get people being excited because they're excited for Bad Boys, and then here we are. We've got a Bad Boys trailer. I get it. I'm like that too with a lot of different things. And by the way, a lot of movies I love had first trailers that I didn't think were any good. A really good recent example of that was Alita Battle Angel. Like that, the first trailer was terrible, and I ended up really liking the film. So, like, this movie could be great, and it's just a first trailer and everything. But as a first trailer, it's pretty sucky poor. I mean, let me rephrase that a little bit. There's not a lot in the trailer that I hate, but it's the complete absence of anything in it that I thought was good. I didn't think the jokes were funny. It felt very forced. Now, that's not to say that the movie won't be loaded with great stuff. Like I said, just Alita Battle Angel recently. Hated the first trailer, really enjoyed the movie. That could very well be the case here with Bad Boys. I'm not saying the movie's going to be good or bad whatsoever. We're just talking about a trailer. But I'm sorry, other than the fact that it was the Bad Boys trailer, it was a bad trailer for life. There's nothing to it. It wasn't funny. The action didn't look good. Their jokes were kind of like, the one kind of joke that I thought what was all right was when they're driving through the mall. It's like, yes, we're black and we're police. That was funny. I like that one line. Everything else, like that little gag they're doing at the end where the other cops are singing Bad Boys, and they're like that wasn't funny. That was lame and cringy. Look, I'm not saying people shouldn't be excited about this movie. I'm not saying the movie isn't going to be good. I'm just saying I watched the trailer. I'm like, there is nothing in this trailer to get anybody excited unless they were going to be excited no matter what. That's just how I felt about it at any rate. Erin, you had a chance to see this trailer. What did you think of it?
You know, I'm mixed on it. I will say I loved the beginning of it. I had a lot of high hopes for it because as soon as you see that beautiful blue Porsche and it's the camera is panning, my first thought was, damn, somebody worked really hard to make sure there is not a scratch on that car. So, of course, when Martin Lawrence slams the car door into the fire hydrant, I was like, yes, this is hilarious. This is funny. I'm so excited. I definitely want to watch the rest of this trailer, and I can't wait for the movie to come out. But then it was like, lame joke, lame joke, lame joke. I did not really love the, yes, we're black and we're cops. I thought that actually fell flat. Oddly enough, I liked the joke at the end where they were saying, no, don't sing it. I liked the response that Martin Lawrence had to it. It was sort of poking fun at itself in a way, but all the rest of the jokes I felt fell flat. And my concern with a comedy, and I know this is an action comedy, but my concern with the comedy is when those are the jokes that you choose to put in the trailer, I'm really not prepared to laugh at all for the movie because that's the best that you've got. I'm not going to expect that there's going to be a lot more hidden laughs. I will say, though, that Will Smith, I mean, man, that guy is a movie star. Every shot, every angle, you just see and feel his movie star presence. I believe him as the action hero that he is. He never ages, which is great. And I really do believe that he and Martin Lawrence have some great chemistry, but I did feel that in the trailer it was forced in certain parts. And a lot of the action stuff I felt like could have been any other movie. I mean, there's only so many times you can have a helicopter blowing up before you go, been there, done that, seen it already, which is kind of horrible to say because it's such a huge thing that they're doing. But I wasn't as unimpressed as you were, but I wasn't blown away either.
You know, and one other thing, I'm glad you brought up Martin Lawrence because in his day, Martin Lawrence was a very sharp comedic performer.
Yeah.
In sports terminology, particularly like, say, UFC terminology, I saw a lot of ring rust on him. I saw a lot of rust. Like, it just felt to me like you brought up Will Smith in it. He's on stride. Like, he's got that movie star quality. He's going to look like he's 39 years old forever. Mm-hmm. And he just carries it. Whereas Martin Lawrence, in the trailer, it felt like, yeah, he hasn't been in the ring in a while.
Well, he gets out of the car and he looks like, I mean, I'm sorry, I have to go there. He definitely does not look like he's been taking care of himself. And as an actor, I will say this, whether you are larger framed or smaller, whatever your frame is, whatever you're used to, I know that when I'm not taking care of myself, when I'm not eating right, when I'm drinking a lot, when I'm partying or when I'm not working out,
which is like 10 minutes before every John Campea show, by the way.
Basically, I'm actually drunk right now. When I'm not taking care of myself, my performance suffers because I'm just not, as you said, I'm not in champion mode. And Will Smith, I feel he is always in champion mode, especially when he's going in to do a film. And the second that Martin Lawrence got out of the car, Tom was like, whoa, okay.
And it's not just even him compared to Will Smith. It's him compared to the Martin Lawrence.
Right. It's Martin Lawrence compared to what we know and love as Martin Lawrence. And I've worked with Martin Lawrence.
If that is a part of the movie, like, if that's a part of it, that, like, because, you know, he's talking retirement in the trailer. If that becomes a part of the movie and it's like, hey, you know, he's a little older now, he's out of shape, and if they play to that, then I'll get it. Then
but that would have been a great thing for them to explore in the trailer. Will Smith even be like, damn, man, what's going on? But even still, like, that, it was such a snooze eye roll. Like, oh, really? We're doing the I'm retired, but one more gig kind of thing. Like, please, Hollywood.
Yeah, you're not Danny Glover.
Please stop doing that. Like, stop doing the one last time trope. It's over. It's done. We know what's going to happen. we get it.
Anyway, Kris, you had a chance to see the trailer. What did you think about it?
I mean, I hear what you guys are saying about Martin Lawrence, who I'm not really wowed with by in this trailer either. But I think Justin, our question guy here, kind of nails it on the head. It does give you that nostalgia for the original Bad Boys. And if you were really, really into those, this movie looks like it's going to be right up your alley. I was late to the Bad Boys train. I didn't watch it until I watched the amazing movie Hot Fuzz, in which they were
right, in which they reference it a lot.
Bad Boys 1 and 2. Which do you think I'd like more? Which one do you want to watch first? Terrible English accent. This is why I don't act as much. I can't do dialects. But what I'm
talk like a bunny rabbit, and I can't. Clearly.
Any woodland creature, I've got you. What I'm more excited about, which I know he's at the end and it's going to be a bit part, is Charles Melton, the really, really dreamy Asian guy who's from Riverdale. He's in this movie. And any screen time for him makes me really, really happy because I think he's a wonderful actor and I'm excited to see him on screen more. Give us hunky Asian men, Hollywood.
Was he the third one when the camera is panning 1, 2, 3?
Yep.
Okay. He caught my eye and I was like,
He pretty.
Who is that?
But I never would have thought we'd have a day where movie fandom would be going, damn, we're really missing Michael Bay. I just never thought.
Yeah.
I saw more comments yesterday online about you can really feel missing Michael Bay. It's like never thought you'd see those words on the internet. Here, the question here is, guys, whether you're like me, not impressed, whether you're like Kris, you are impressed, whether you're like Erin, you're somewhere in the middle. What did you guys think about the Bad Boys for Life trailer? Jump down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's now move on to the second main topic today. Kris, what is main topic number 2?
This is from Mike Vodeb. It was just recently announced that Will Poulter has been cast as the lead in the role for Amazon's Lord of the Rings series. I think this is exciting news because of how talented an actor he is. What are your thoughts on this? Thank you. How do we feel about Will?
Well, yeah, first of all, I got very excited when I heard about this. Number one, because it's any kind of news about the Lord of the Rings series. Ever since they put out that little video a few weeks ago about the team behind the scenes, this doing it, the directors, the writers, the producers, the set designers, all like this all-star cast of people who are working on this, showing that Amazon is all in on this Lord of the Rings series. That was very exciting. We got the name of one potential cast person whose name I can't remember right now before, but Will Poulter is the first real name to come out here, and that he's going to play a lead role in this thing, and I think this is amazing. Now, Variety wrote the following: for Poulter, the role is a huge win, as it was for one of the more coveted jobs in town for young actors. He has already had a strong year with lead roles in Netflix's acclaimed interactive Black Mirror movie, Bandersnatch, and the Ari Aster horror pick Midsommar. Prior to that, Poulter was known for lead roles in the Maze Runner franchise, The Revenant, which he was amazing in, and Detroit. And I'm so glad they mentioned Detroit, because I stand by this. He should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor for that movie. That was a movie that was loaded with incredible performances, and I understand that there might have been a perception issue with nominating him in that film, but I'm telling you what, his performance in Detroit, because I've loved him in a lot of the things I've seen him. I also loved him in We're the Millers, by the way.
Say that.
I really like him in We're the Millers, but it was in Detroit that I went, holy shit. This guy's got it. This guy's got it, because I was so bought into him that entire movie. It was another level kind of performance. And it reminded me a lot of like certain actors. I remember the first time I saw Leonardo DiCaprio as like, holy crap, this guy can actually really act. You know, back in the day when he was just a teeny bopper magazine cover dream boy. That's what I felt like when I was watching Detroit. I love this guy, and I think his addition to this is nothing but exciting. Look, I don't know if this Lord of the Rings show is going to be the best thing ever. I don't know if it's going to be terrible and a complete misfire. I just don't know. But it's always a good thing to add talent, and I think this kid is right up there near the top. And he looks like a mad elf anyway. He just looks like a quasi-pissed-off elf anyway. I love the casting, so sign me up for it. Erin, you heard about the casting of Will Poulter. What do you think about it?
I think it's great. I completely agree with you. The pedigree of talent that is behind the camera already is speaking volumes for this project. And so now to come out the gate and have such a talented young star who, like you said, is not he's not a teeny bopper. You know, he really has some powerful projects under his belt, as well as being able to showcase his comedic abilities in We're the Millers. I wasn't familiar with his name right when I heard the name, so I went to his IMDb page, and I actually learned a really valuable lesson as an actor. When you want a part, make sure that your IMDb profile photo looks like that part, because I saw his photo and I was like, "Whoa, dude, angry elf for sure." So I'm really excited to see as more casting rolls out for this. And hey, by the way, Amazon, if you need any elves, I have semi-pointy ears and I'm ready to go into prosthetics right now.
And you almost got kind of like an elf-like font on your tattoos. They're kind of like there's almost like a little bit of that font.
It can be covered, by the way. Don't worry, department. I can cover this.
So, Kris, as a person who owns a dog literally named Gimli, son of Gloin.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about Will Poulter's casting?
I mean, I just kind of like Lord of the Rings. I'm just kind of into it. I'm so excited about Will Poulter. Oh my gosh. I have thought this guy is so talented from back when he was doing sketch comedy for BBC. He was on a show called School of Comedy, I believe is what the name was. And he was doing insane sketches where he was acting like an adult, and he was so wonderful on that. He's a standout in everything I've seen him. Like Maze Runner, Bandersnatch. He's crazy in Bandersnatch. He's such a versatile actor, and I'm so excited for him to be part of this series. I think he's a tremendous talent. Amazon, please don't F this up for me. Please don't. Everything right now sounds so good, but I have been hurt before, and me and my tiny puppy will be so sad if this show blows.
Yeah, there's a lot of space here for disappointment. A lot of space for awesomeness, a lot of space for disappointment. Question here is, guys, what do you think about the addition of Will Poulter? Are you right now like not really caring who they cast? You just want to see some stuff from it? Are you excited about the casting like we are? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know what you guys think. All right, with that down, let's move on to our third main topic today. Kris, what is main topic number 3?
This topic comes from Will Stutz. Did you see that during his Variety interview, Robert Pattinson said something about Joaquin Phoenix before asking to retract it, saying, "I definitely should not say that." He also added that he was not accustomed to thinking about spoilers. Do you think it's possible, but there is a connection and Phoenix could be Reeves' Joker? Things that make you go, What do you think?
Yeah, so anyway, I, like a lot of you guys last night, I started seeing in my news feeds and stuff like that, some headlines suggesting and questioning if we're going to see this Joker thing cross over as a result of Robert Pattinson's comments. So I went to check out the comments. Now, it was just quoted a bit in the email there, but let's actually go and see what was said. This is from the Variety article. Pattinson won't say whether he's committed to additional Batman movies. "I don't know anything," he says. "I've got an idea about how to do 4 scenes, and then I'm working the rest out gradually." At one point in our conversation, he offers a mundane comment about Joaquin Phoenix before asking to retract it. "Oh shit," he says, adding that he's not accustomed to thinking about spoilers. "I definitely should not say that. I'm so used to pretty art house movies where you can watch the movie about 3 times and still not know what it's about," which I think is a great way for him to sum up his career over the last few years. I think that's awesome. So in this statement, he says Joaquin Phoenix, and he's talking about his Batman thing. From this, people have been extrapolating and wondering, did he just basically drop a hint? Like, what could he have said about Joaquin Phoenix that he asked to be retracted? Okay, I get it. But I think the law of the most obvious and simple answer 99% of the time is it. He probably knows something about the Joker movie, mentioned something, said, "Oh, I shouldn't say that," and had to retract it. I can only speak for myself, because I'm not going to say anybody who thinks that this statement is pointing towards Warner Brother plans to have a, Robert Pattinson Batman and Joaquin Phoenix Joker cross over in the future. I'm not going to say that you're completely out of your mind. Okay, because there's some crumbs here. There are some crumbs here where I could see that. But I think the most obvious answer, though, is he was probably referring to something he knows about the Joker movie and decided to have that pulled back. I don't see anything else here to support the notion that we're looking at a star pulling a Tom Holland and accidentally dropping information about the future plans. Look, we already know there's a whole ton of things that work against us. Number one, Robert Pattinson hasn't even said if he signed up for more than one movie, which Warner Brothers probably wouldn't have signed him if it wasn't for more than one movie. On top of that, we know Joaquin Phoenix does not like doing sequels. That's the main reason he walked away from Doctor Strange. He was totally intrigued by the Doctor Strange role, walked away from it because of that. But we as film fans, and I'm including me in this, all right? I'm including you in this. I'm including me in this. We as film fans tend to see the slightest 99th degree removed possible factoid that could connect to something else, and we start forming. I remember, guys, back when some of the first images of Thanos came out for Avengers Infinity War. I remember because it was like dominating everything for like 2 straight days. There appears on one side of Thanos' face 3 scars, right? 3 scars. The internet went nuts. Confirmation! Wolverine is in the next Avengers movie. It's clear. They're practically telling us, and everybody freaked out about it. It's absolutely Wolverine. Right now, we've got a thing where in Avengers Endgame, Okoye mentions to Black Widow, we had like an underwater earthquake, and Black Widow's like, what are we doing? Yeah, what are we looking? Are we looking into that? She goes, it's an underwater earthquake. There's nothing to look into. That's it, right? But she said water. Namor lives in water. Confirmed Namor is going to be the villain in Black Panther 2. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying, like, that's what and I have been guilty of this, and you have been guilty of this. That is kind of a little thing we do here. And I think that's what's happening a little bit here, is that we've got Robert Pattinson saying Joaquin Phoenix, talking about the Joker thing, retract something, and instantly everybody's thinking he must be hiding the fact that Batman and Joker are going to cross over and they're going to be in the same universe, despite the fact that they have insisted this Joker is an isolated standalone in his own universe film. Despite the fact of everything we know about Joaquin Phoenix, we still jump there. Again, I'm not going to call anybody crazy if they're going to think there's something there to that, because there are crumbs. There are crumbs there, so I'm not going to say you're crazy. But personally, I don't see anything here. I think there's a little bit of smoke, but that smoke was from somebody lighting a cigarette, not a forest fire. And I really don't see anything else there. Anyway, Erin, you heard these comments. You've been involved with shows that had a lot of people always speculating and trying to develop theories and things like that. Could there be something here, or is this really much ado about nothing at this point?
I once heard that, I don't remember what the colloquialism was, but similar to where there's smoke, there's fire, that there's a little bit of truth in every Hollywood, in every Hollywood rumor. But one thing that sticks out to me is that the comment was that Pattinson said something mundane about Joaquin Phoenix. It didn't say he slipped about something involving the Joker. He slipped about something involving the script in Joaquin Phoenix. He says something mundane about Joaquin Phoenix, and then he says retracted, I'm not used to spoilers, blah, blah, blah. And I think Robert Pattinson also may have been going on another tangent of spoilers in general. Like, I'm learning in this new genre that I have to really be careful about anything that I say, because of situations like this, it can be taken completely out of context and people can just start spinning their own tales. I think that him saying the word spoiler actually lit more fires than whatever the mundane thing about Joaquin Phoenix was that he said.
Right.
I also agree with you, not only because Joaquin Phoenix is not known for for sequels, but also there's no way that Joaquin Phoenix is going to be involved in a crossover without seeing the full film first. Like he's gonna want to see what this film does. He's gonna want to be integrally. I'm having a Trump moment. Integrally, I can't say the word. Forget about it. He's gonna want to be very involved with developing his character as it pertains to any potential overlap in another project.
Kris, you're hearing about this. Do you think there could be anything to it?
No, I'm going like you guys, Occam's razor here. I'm going to go with the least speculation. And furthermore, we know that the Joker in his film is dealing with Bruce's grandfather who's running for mayor.
No, I think it's his father.
I thought it was his grandfather.
Thomas Wayne.
It's Thomas Wayne?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I read something where it said grandfather. Either way, that seems like a sizable age gap to be taking on a Joker. I mean, where's the threat in that? I just don't think it's going to happen.
Unless we meet Baby Joker.
There we go.
Like they do one of those things that they did with Sam Jackson, and they take like Joaquin Phoenix from his first movie, and somehow like a young Joaquin Phoenix walks
He
next
shows
to
up.
Yeah, like somehow there's a I don't know.
Or they're like, Joker's just a mantle. Someone else will take on my mask.
Which is what Gotham kind of did
Yeah.
in a really terrible way. I think the most interesting thing, and I think the most poignant thing that you brought up there, Erin, was the fact that it almost feels like the writer for the Variety article knew they had to specifically say, they knew they couldn't just say, he said something about Joaquin Phoenix, which he then asked for me to retract. Because it seems to me like they knew, if I just say that, people are going to speculate that it's something bigger than it is. Mm-hmm. So it's like he purposefully put in the word, a mundane thing about Joaquin Phoenix, like nothing big. If he had said, if Robert Pattinson had said, yeah, this, and I tried on the Batman suit, and man, I'm really looking forward to doing that crossover movie with Joaquin Phoenix. Oops, can you take that out?
Yeah.
He wouldn't have then said, he said something mundane about Joaquin Phoenix. I think that's probably a big single word. I mean, it's only one word, but I think it's a big piece of that puzzle that we got to keep in mind. Question here, though, guys, is look, there are a lot of people out there right now who think there's some legitimacy to this about maybe there being some kind of crossover. So much so that I decided to make that the topic of today's question of the day, where I got on Twitter and put it to you guys. You guys can go over to my Twitter. You can just follow me on Twitter, simply at John Campea. Go on over there, and I put up the question. Guys, do you think Robert Pattinson's comments legitimately indicate that his Batman will cross over with Joaquin Phoenix Joker? And right now, kind of overwhelmingly, but not as overwhelmingly as you might think, 78% of you are saying no, they are not connected, but a full 22% of you out of like the 1,200 of you guys that have cast votes so far, I put this up just before we started the show, are saying yes, they're going to cross these things over. So that represents a significant amount of people. Question is, what do you guys think about that? Do you think there's anything to it? Do you think there's nothing to it whatsoever? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down, let's move on to main topic number 4. Kris, what is our 4th main topic today?
Noah Vestry writes, hello, Erin, Kris, and John. I just read that the upcoming new Birds of Prey trailer is supposedly only going to be playing in theaters and not online. How can this be right? What the hell is WB thinking? They've got to know it'll be online no matter if they want it there or not, so why not release it themselves? What is their logic here? John, what is their logic here?
Yeah, for those of you who might be hearing about this for the first time, no, you didn't hear that wrong. Warner Brothers, it's been confirmed, they're putting out a new Birds of Prey trailer with it Chapter 2, but it's only going to be in theaters. They're not releasing it online. They're not releasing it. They're putting out a piece of movie marketing and not putting it out to where most people get their marketing for movies. Now, this is what came out of IO9. IO9 wrote this. A new trailer for Birds of Prey and the Fabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn is coming out this weekend, but it will only be in theaters with it Chapter 2. It's the second time in as many months that Warner Brothers has gone with this strategy. The other time, of course, being for Christopher Nolan's mysterious action movie Tenet. That teaser released last month with Hobbs and Shaw. Still hasn't officially, and that trailer still has not officially made its way online. So, yes, Warner Brothers, in the last couple of months now, this will be the second time. They did it with Tenet. I still don't understand what the logic is to only playing the trailer in theaters and not letting it be online. I don't understand that logic. However, for something like Tenet, that is still quite a ways off. That movie's still pretty far away. Okay, fine, you want to play a little mystery game with a Christopher Nolan film, fine. I get it. But for Birds of Prey, a movie that's coming out in February, so what are we, October, November, December, January, 5 months. This movie's coming out in 5 months, which isn't tomorrow, but it ain't that far off, all right? Coming out in 5 months, I think there are a lot of question marks surrounding this movie, to be frank with you. I have no excitement for it. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Margot Robbie. I loved her as Harley Quinn, but I haven't seen anything in this particular movie to get me excited yet. Doesn't mean I won't love it. But I mean, it's got like Shazam to me was effing brilliant. I loved Shazam. So you're following up with this Harley Quinn movie, this Birds of Prey movie. It's big shoes to fill. Right now, I'm not feeling a lot of excitement for it. That first little announced teaser that Margot Robbie released, okay, it's like, all right, there's some of the fashion, I guess, that's fine. But why would you at this point put out a trailer for a movie that doesn't have a ton of people excited, unlike, say, a Christopher Nolan film, which is coming, and not, if you got a trailer, why not put it out? I got to tell you, Warner Brothers has been making some great moves lately, particularly when it comes to their DC properties. And that is why this really makes me scratch my head. Now, they said in the message here, it's going to end up online anyway. Well, the Tenet one hasn't really. I mean, you're going to have a difficult time finding the Tenet one. I mean, it's out there, but I mean, it's not as, it didn't rip around the internet as quickly as you might think it would have. I just don't understand the logic here behind pulling something like this, particularly with a movie that needs a push, that needs a bump like this particular film. Erin, you're hearing about this. I know they did it with Christopher Nolan's thing, but I don't know. What are you thinking about the strategies of theirs to put out a trailer and not let most of the people see it?
I have two theories. My first theory, going along with your train of thought, is there are some questions, there are some concerns, so they're going to use the movie theater audience as the test rabbits of, okay, we're going to see how this goes, and maybe before we do a big wide release of a trailer and potentially turn off our entire audience, we're going to get some feedback, and then we'll maybe do some retooling while we still have time, and then release a wider trailer later. That's my first theory. My second theory is that it's amazing, it's awesome, it's going to blow the roofs off the theater, and so they want people to actually videotape it on their phones and then put it online illegally, and then all of a sudden they have to go, ruh-roh, it's online anyway, and now we're going to release it in the high definition now that there's all this buzz about it and everyone's talking about it and super excited. So those are the only two things that I can think would make it make any sense. Is A, you're not sure, so you want to do some tinkering, or B, you actually want to start a viral guerrilla movement, and then you can say, okay, well, now we'll go ahead and release it to everybody since it's out there anyway, and there's already a lot of buzz. Those are my thoughts.
I mean, I agree with you in the sense that those are the only two things I can think of. But there's two obvious things that work against it, right? Like with the whole idea of we want to get it. Well, isn't that what a test?
I
test
agree. I know.
For, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I agree though. That's the only other, and the only other thing I can come up with is they want to create a guerrilla, like a groundswell thing. But what Disney and Warner Brothers have figured out is like, do we want? I remember back in Age of Ultron, they were going to release their first big Avengers Age of Ultron trailer with an episode of that horrible television show, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I know a lot of you guys like, but that's fine. But what happened was it got leaked. And it wasn't a high quality, like it was a poor quality leak. And so what Marvel did was they instantly released it online ahead of schedule because they didn't want somebody's first impression of their trailer to be some crappy little version of it. They wanted to be so Marvel got out and got ahead of it. Now, to your point, there's already been a version of this trailer leaked online. I think it was from the Ukraine. So it's in Russian and stuff like this. And it's a bad handy cam kind of version of it. It looks terrible and all that kind of stuff. So I agree. Those are the only two possibilities I can really think of. But there's kind of self-defeating at the same time. So I don't really know where they're going with this unless Warner Brothers honestly thinks people are going to be as excited for Birds of Prey as they are for Christopher Nolan's next movie. In which case, you're out of your damn mind. No, they're not. Like, I'm a big fan of the DC films, and I ain't interested in this movie right now. You need to make me interested. Putting it in front of a movie only in theaters, not putting it out online to get it spreading and stuff like that, it just seems to be a bad approach. And I don't know, maybe there's some business case to be made for it. Right now, I'm not seeing it. Question is, guys, what do you think about this strategy? Do you think, hey, you know what, John? I think you're underestimating about how this could build anticipation. Like you add to the mystery of it and it'll build anticipation. There could be an argument for that. Or are you seeing it like the way we're seeing it? Is like, what's the logic here? I want to know what you guys think about this. Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay. with that down and out of the way, let's move on to the fifth and final main topic today. Kris, what is main topic number 5 today?
This is from Hamilton Stroughton. Hi, John. I was wondering if you saw that Crazy Rich Asians co-writer Adele Lim was only offered $110K to come back and co-write the sequel. They offered her co-writer Peter Chiarelli $800K to come back. Apparently, Peter offered to split his salary with her to offset the difference, but Adele said he shouldn't have to do that and walked off the project. I'm not saying everyone has to be paid equal, but how can you justify offering 8 times more to one co-writer over the other when they have a roughly equal resume? I don't think you can justify that. What are your thoughts?
All right, let me lay a little bit of groundwork here, okay? Let's look at some of the factual groundwork here. Okay, so you have 2 co-writers for the original Crazy Rich Asians, a movie that was made for $30 million and grossed about $240 million. The movie made 8 times its budget, and it's a fun little film. It's not an all-time great, but it's a fun little enjoyable romantic comedy of a film that has a lot of significance to it. Great, so you had Peter Chiarelli, who did the screenplay, along with Adele Lim, who did the screenplay. And by the way, Adele Lim, she is the writer for the most exciting thing that came out of the D23 Disney Pictures presentation, which was this new animated film coming out called Raya and the Last Dragon. If you guys followed me on Twitter during that whole thing, I was losing my mind for this project. I cannot wait. It was the most exciting thing to come out of that. I'm pumped for it. Cannot wait. And so Disney's got her on. She's the lead writer on that. And she did the presentation for it at D23, which was incredible. Okay. So according to the reports, late last year, when they were trying to lock down these 2 to come back and write again, they offered Peter Chiarelli $800,000 to $1 million as an opening offer. Not unreasonable considering the success of the first film. However, they offered Adele $110,000. So you're roughly looking at about an 8 times difference. Now, she rejected that. A little bit later, the production company came back and they said they made a better offer, but they didn't stipulate how much better. Maybe, for all I know, it was $101 or $120. We just don't know at this point. Now, apparently, her co-writer, Peter Chiarelli, recognized that this really wasn't fair, and he offered to divvy up his own salary to balance it out with her, which, you know what? Hats off, Peter. That's putting your money where your mouth is. I respect that. But what Adele said in response was, he's being incredibly generous, but this isn't his thing to do. The studio should be looking after this and taking care of this. Now, Warner Brothers put out this, I'll call it right now, this completely bullshit excuse, saying, well, this is studio standard. When you're looking at the resume and the work, and it would be irresponsible of us to make an exception here. Really? Because you know what Peter Chiarelli has done in the last 10 years? 2 movies. He's done 2 movies in the last 10 years, one of which was the unbelievably horrible Now You See Me Too. The other one, which was 10 years ago, was a particularly wonderful romantic comedy called The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock, which I actually quite love. That was 10 years ago. That's his resume the last 10 years, folks. That's all he's done in the last 10 years before Crazy Rich Asians. That's it. You know what Adele's done? She's worked on over 7 television series and wrote over 20 episodes of successful television programming herself in the last 10 years, whereas Peter did 2 films. So don't talk to me about this thing, well, you know, the resumes last year. Shut the fuck up. Just shut up. That is just basically an excuse here. And hats off. Now, I'm not saying there isn't the existence of some formula that maybe a studio will go by, that's kind of their policy and stuff like that. I'm not saying that such a thing doesn't exist, but policy is there to help facilitate common sense. That's what policy is for. Policy is there to always make sure to be a guiding star towards common sense, but common sense always needs to trump policy. Common sense needs to be given precedence over policy. Now look, also to lay a little bit of groundwork here, let me be clear about something. I do not believe, when it comes to the movie business, that 2 people doing the same job, be there both male, both female, one female, one tall, one short, one fat, one skinny. I don't believe that two people in the entertainment industry doing a movie, doing the same job, automatically should be paid the same thing. I don't. I'm sorry. If you're in a movie and you're some kind of new up-and-coming actor named Billy Smith, which also happens to be the name of the New York Islanders goaltender in the 1980s, which is my all-time favorite hockey team. Anyway, let's say you're some new up-and-coming little actor named Billy Smith, and you get the co-lead in a movie with Jennifer Lawrence, just as an argument's sake. I'm sorry, you're not going to get paid the same as Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence brings more to the table. She is of higher value to this project than you are, Billy. Even though you're going to be doing the same amount of dialogue, same amount of work, she carries more weight here. She's going to get paid more. I am not sitting here and saying that I am outraged that Adele didn't get offered the same paycheck as Peter did. Again, how they weigh the value of I've written features versus you've written television, whatever. But there's just no way to justify the notion of one person being offered upwards of $1 million and the other co-writer to be offered $110,000. There's no way you can justify that here, especially when you look at the resumes of these two people. She's done more work in the last 10 years than he has. And again, I cannot tip my hat more to Peter Chiarelli. You can't overstate that. The fact that this dude would look at that and say, yeah, this kind of ain't fair. Tell you what, I will split the difference in my salary with you to make sure we even out. And that was awesome of him to do full marks to him. And again, I'm not sitting here making an argument that everybody needs to be paid exactly the same on every movie. Nope, you'll be paid based on the weight of what you bring to a project. That is Hollywood. I understand that and I respect that. But this much of a disparity? I mean, if you're Warner Brothers, you at least got to be a little bit aware of the optics. This is a bad move. This is 2 stories in a row where I'm questioning something Warner Brothers is doing. I like Warner Brothers very much. I was just at their lot the other day. Anyway, but this to me is a profound head scratcher. I don't get the logic here whatsoever. And yeah, I just don't see how this is. Anyway, Erin, you see this story right now. I mean, look, we don't want to be knee-jerk reactionists. And, you know, I understand Warner Brothers probably has some policy, some precedent. I understand one might make a little bit more than the other. I get that. But this kind of a gap for 2 co-writers of a film that made 8 times as much, I don't know. What's your approach? How are you seeing this?
There's so many things that I have to say about this. So I'm going to try to keep it concise, which is going to be challenging for me. First of all, we also, in addition to looking at the optics of the pay gap, let's look at the fact that you have a movie that is a romantic comedy really about an Asian woman's experience, and the Asian woman writer is the one that's making 1/8 of what the white male writer is making. I don't even know if Warner Brothers thought that this was ever going to get out. Usually they don't think it's going to get out. But and also I want to point out that Now You See Me Too, Peter was not he did not write the screenplay for that. He was story by.
Right.
So
he
didn't even write the screenplay. So he has actually written one screenplay, and that was 10 years ago, the proposal. And you're absolutely right. She has been working nonstop in the world of television. She has films coming out. The amount of money that this movie made and the amount of visibility that this movie gave to Asian actors and Asian American actors is a massive, profound success. The simple fact that it's getting a sequel is huge. So it is such a slap in the face, not only to women writers, because I'm sorry, I also, it's total bullshit. This quote thing, first of all, Hollywood doesn't play by quotes anymore. That was eliminated like 2 years ago. I know that as an actor, they're not allowed to ask for quotes. It's illegal because of some employment law, something or other. I don't know, but they're not allowed to ask for quotes. And so the quote game doesn't exist anymore. So that's a lie. That is an outright lie. Additionally, I have friends who work in accounting for major studios. I'm so upset right now. And they've told me that they have been in conversations with producers. I just had a conversation recently with a friend of mine who said that he was on the phone with a female producer who said these two actors, the female actor clearly had a much larger role, but they were playing husband and wife. And she said, well, let's give $250 to him and we'll give $100 to her. And he said, well, don't you think that we should make it the same because they're playing husband and wife? And she goes, no, in fact, let's go ahead and offer her the $100 and make sure to close that first so that we have all the leftover money for the male actor. And he goes, don't you think that that's, we're in the age of gender gender equality and closing the pay gap? And she goes, yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that. So this is something that happens. It's common. And the reason why we're like clutching our pearls about it is because people aren't talking about it as often. You bring up Jennifer Lawrence as a perfect example, because when she started sounding the horn about how in American Hustle, it was very clearly, there were emails when Sony got hacked. One of the things that we discovered was that there were emails that clearly stated the women need to get paid less than the boys. That's verbatim, saying that the boys will get X number of points on the back end. The girls will get this number of points. Those were quotes from emails that were sent from the studio. They referred to them as the girls and the boys, and specifically said that Amy Adams, Academy Award winners Amy Adams and Jennifer Lawrence, should get paid less than the boys because they're girls. My back is getting so hot right now. This happens all the time. It even happened to me when I was working on Blue Bloods. Fuck you, Blue Bloods. I stole my pantyhose because I know that you guys fucked me over, and you paid my male co-star more than you paid me, and you put him up in a hotel, and you flew him first class, and you gave him per diem, and you totally fucked me. So fuck you, Blue Bloods. Anyway, this happens all the time. She absolutely should be getting paid. It is wonderful that Peter was offering that. But you know what? Jessica Chastain did the same thing for Octavia Spencer, because as much as white women are getting fucked, black women, Hispanic women, Asian women are getting fucked way worse. And your co-star or your co-writer or your co-director or your co-producer should not have to take their pay and cut it in half because the studio isn't willing to do the right thing. And good for her. Good for Adele for saying, no, I'm walking from this, because she's bringing to light a problem. Because she even said she put out a statement and said, if I, as the co-writer of the biggest, of a movie as big as Crazy Rich Asians, if I can't even get equal pay from that, who can? And for what? And she's absolutely right. Jennifer Lawrence said the same thing. And when people want to go, oh my gosh, well, you're being paid $110,000. I'd love to have. Well, it's not about the $110,000. It's the fact that there are women who are working in other jobs where them tweeting about their boss isn't going to get the same amount of attention as Adele tweeting about Warner Brothers. So this is a problem across many occupations, and it's happening all the way from the highest of the highs to the lowest of the lows. And it's something that's not talked about enough in Hollywood, and quite frankly not talked about enough anywhere. So I say good for her, and Warner Brothers needs to do a way more damage control and needs to rethink whatever policy they're claiming is responsible for this.
Yeah, and look, again, if this was a scenario, if we weren't talking about Peter Chiarelli, right? Let's say that Adele's co-writer on this was Aaron Sorkin.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right? If this was Aaron Sorkin, okay, you can make a legitimate argument. Whoa, this is one of the greatest screenwriters of our time.
Totally.
He brings a huge resume. He brings a lot of cachet along with him. He brings a lot of prestige along with it, and a lot of notoriety is going to come to this, and blah, blah, blah. Then fine. Fine. I don't think any of us are saying, hey, Billy, who's had one day on the job and you've had 20 years of experience on the job, you should both get paid the equal. We're not saying that. But we're saying, let's look at the individuals in question. Let's look at the resumes they're bringing. Has anybody ever heard of Peter Chiarelli?
No.
No. Now, granted, until Raya and The Last Dragon, which might make her a household name, but has anybody heard of Adele really? No. Do either of them have like huge movie work the last 10 years? No. Have they both been doing a little bit of work? Well, he's got a wonderful film in The Proposal. She's been doing a lot of television work. When you look at all that and then go, okay, let's give him 8 times more than we're going to offer her.
maybe 10 times because it was 800
yes.
It's
to
almost
a million.
$700,000 difference. That's insane. I don't care who you are. That is a huge pay discrepancy. That is bonkers. If I was on this show and I found out that Rob was making like 7 times more than me, we would have a sit down and I'd be like, Rob should make more than me because he's been here longer. He's got a following. He has this, blah, blah, blah. But to give someone that much more money, are you shitting me, man?
Here's the good news. We're actually making 10 times more than Rob is.
Don't
yeah.
say that out loud.
Sorry,
Rob
Rob.
doesn't know.
But also,
Jeez.
there's a term that I also read about when I was digging deeper into this. It's called soy sauce. Which
she used that term.
She used that term soy sauce, which is when a white writer or white male writer in this case, when they bring in an Asian writer to give a little bit of the cultural authenticity. Yeah, the cultural authenticity when they go, okay, we're going to write a generic romantic comedy. Now we want you to come in and make it Asian for us. Tell us what we should add to it. And it doesn't actually make the project authentic to the culture. It just adds, as she's saying, soy sauce, the topping.
And she said she herself was being treated like soy sauce.
Yeah.
And
right.
I was just the Asian girl brought in to this thing. And
damn.
And that's the thing. Look, there are people out there, and I'm not judging. There are people out there who believe too much is being made about, gender equality, and too much is being made. And I would say to those people right now is this: even if you have that point of view, even you have to acknowledge in this situation of 2 people working on a script, fairly equal resume over the past. Well, you could even make an argument that maybe even Adele has a better resume over the last 10 years than Peter does. Even you would have to acknowledge, if you think in our culture we're making too much of a big deal about gender equality, even you would have to look at this and go, yeah, this is some bullshit. This is probably some bullshit.
Well, look at Mark Wahlberg and Michelle Williams for reshoots of what was the movie where Kevin Spacey got fired?
All the Money in the World?
All the Money in the World. There was a day of reshoots, and Mark Wahlberg was paid $1.5 million for the same amount of work that Michelle Williams was paid $1,100 for. And guess what? She was nominated for it, and he wasn't. Yeah. His performance in it was quite a bit of a snooze fest. She was fucking phenomenal. So $1.5 million for the same amount of work, and she's an Academy Award nominee? Are you kidding me? Like, it happens all the time. And for the people out there who were saying, I don't think that gender equality pains them, well, you know what? You should probably talk to a few more women who have been in a situation where they have gotten fucked over. Mm-hmm. And the fact that if... yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, there's a lot here to unpack. And I think, guys, listen, just imagine this, though. Imagine we were talking about the same story. And I say this to everybody at home. Imagine we're talking about this exact same story. You know what? I'm not even going to go there. Guys, you've seen this laid out. You've read the articles. What do you think about this whole thing? Do you think Adele should have just stuck it out anyway and done it? Do you applaud her for walking away? She's doing a big Disney movie now. Hats off to Peter. Warner Brothers, what are you thinking, guys? What are you thinking about all this? Jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With all that down and out of the way, we're going to now move on and take live questions from you guys. You guys have been firing in a whole ton of live questions, but before we get to that, we've been going almost an hour now, so we're going to take a short 3-minute break here. Rest the vocal cords, stretch our legs.
I'm going to take an ice bath.
Maybe a little bit of an ice bath. Have some tea, refill our drinks, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be back in just 3 minutes. Hang tight. We will be right back with your live questions. And we are back. Thank you guys for indulging us as we took a little bit of a break. Now let's go over and get to your live questions that you guys have been firing in. And we're getting things started off here with Isaac Beebe, who writes, I went to see It 2 today and I loved it. And before the film played, there was a trailer that started with the WB logo and the It music with the balloons and then the DC logo. I was so confused. Then Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn smashed the DC logo with her mallet and said, I've had enough with fucking clowns. And it was a teaser for Birds of Prey. It was unexpected and funny. And again, that's the trailer in question. Mm-hmm. That is the trailer in question. And that, by the way, I don't know if it will be all exactly the same, but that is exactly the same. It sounds exactly the same as the setup for the leaked Ukrainian version of the trailer. So it sounds like it's the same one sort of thing. And again, that sounds clever. I mean, taking advantage of the It balloon, saying I'm so tired of clowns, although Addams Family animated thing just did a gag with the red balloon too. Normally there's a murderous clown attached to one of these, which wasn't a very good joke. But anyway.
That was a good voice, John.
Yeah, so yeah, it's perfect. I should be an actor myself. My accents are bang on. Anyway. Yeah, it does. But again, though, it raises the question, why not release this? Why not put it out to the audience to see? Do you think people who weren't going to go see It Chapter 2 will go, oh, I got to buy a ticket to It Chapter 2 so I can see the Birds of Prey trailer?
Super no. Not here.
Yeah, well, you're not going to go see it.
Not doing it.
Based on that, I get the impression that that's not a trailer at all, but it's more of a teaser. Mm-hmm. You know, that they're letting out these teasers that are just in theater to get the movie-going crowd amped up, but then the actual full trailer will be eventually released.
But they had another little teaser that they put out like months ago, and they put that out online, so I'm
those birds are such a tease.
They're such a tease.
They could do this with Harley Quinn if they go like a Lilo and Stitch route. Remember those previews for that movie years and years ago?
It's been a long time.
But they'd like have like a classic Disney scene, like the ballroom dance, and then Stitch would fall in. If Harley just shows up in every movie that's happening right now before it happens and has a teaser like that, I could see why you'd have movie theater specific trailers, but also...
Yeah, like did Warner Brothers actually say, we are not going to release a trailer to the public?
That's what the report is, yeah, that this trailer isn't getting released. But you know what?
That Warner Brothers specifically is like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
So, but you know what? That would be interesting. If they were to do a series of ads for Birds of Prey, like memeing and satirizing other movies, one of the most brilliant marketing campaign things I've seen since the Deadpool marketing campaigns, which were always genius, one of the best things I ever saw was actually Child's Play. Their marketing campaign, remember their posters? Every one of their posters, because Child's Play, the remake, was being released on the same day as Toy Story 4.
Yep.
Oh.
And all the posters were of Chucky destroying the various toys. Like seeing like a dead Woody body on the ground with stuffing torn out of it, or a slink that had been totally torn up and whatever. Brilliant. Just or the piggy bank on an open Spitfire. I mean, brilliant. If they were to do something like that, that could be kind of funny. But again, why wouldn't you put that in theaters?
Exactly.
I'm still a little bit in the dark about that. Anyway, Nathan Oswald writes, birthdays today. I like it when you guys tell us about this. Michael Keaton, 68. Raquel Welch, 79. George Lazenby, 80 years old. Bob Newhart is 90.
Bob Newhart's still alive? That makes me so happy.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah. He's still alive.
George Lazenby.
George Lazenby, the Forgotten Bond. The Forgotten Bond, as that is. Michael Keaton, 60. You know, I thought he was in his 70s already. He doesn't look it.
No.
He looks good. At all. In fact, I actually saw him. I was running into Bristol Farms the day of the Oscars, and I was picking up some snacks for my little Oscar party, and he went into Bristol Farms. And that was when he got nominated for Birdman.
And he's in Bristol Farms getting stuff for his
I was,
Oscar
and
party.
exactly. And I ran past him, and I was like, "You're gonna win!" And he like smiled at me, and then he didn't win, and I felt really bad because I had promised him he was gonna win. I was like, "Damn, I totally let Michael
Aaron,
Keaton
why
down."
did you do this?
I know.
I was interviewing and talking to Ben Affleck once about Argo. And I remember saying, and I jinxed it, I said to him before we started rolling cameras, I said, listen, dude, if you don't get nominated for Best Director for this, because I just watched the movie, right? I'm like, I'm going to go around to Academy voters and slash tires. And he's like, well, let's hope it doesn't come to that, right? And then he wins every director award that year at every, including the DGA, everything. He wins Best Director of the Year at every awards ceremony that year. And his picture wins Best Picture at the Oscars, but he himself did not get nominated for Best Director.
How many tires did you slash?
I can't say that publicly. But, and this is the part, I mean, I'm getting way off from Robert. I don't get this because I understand how the Oscars work, right? Mm-hmm. The directors branch of the Academy are the ones who put together the nominee list for the Best Director category. These guys in the directors branch are members of the DGA. The DGA had just proclaimed Ben Affleck Best Director of the Year, and then yet they come into the Oscars and don't nominate. I'll never understand that. That one will always be a mystery to me. Anyway, sorry, off topic a little bit. Okay, ZMG Ruler writes, great Steven Universe movie Nerdwire review, Kris.
Oh, thank you so much. I did a voiceover for that at 1 a.m. in my closet. That's why the voiceover is so soothing, you guys. Oh, man, I sound so great in that video. You should go watch it right now. I'm chill AF.
That's what she does.
I am going to go watch it right now.
When she calls me, that's what she does. She goes into her closet.
I go into the closet
and
I'm
talks like this.
Hi,
like,
John.
why are you talking like that?
When she calls me, she just sounds like a Woodland character.
Hey, Aaron, I'm so excited to see you today.
I gotta ask. What's Steven Universe?
Steven Universe is a wonderful Cartoon Network show by Rebecca Sugar, who was a storyboard artist on Adventure Time. Another really awesome video of mine you should go check out. But it is a really cute show about this boy named Steven who is half gem and half human. Gems are these alien race who have special powers, and they have like a little gem on them, kind of like troll dolls. Remember those?
Okay,
just somewhere on their body.
Yeah, I'm bored already, just so you know. But
Oh
please
my
continue.
God, I'm doing such a good job describing it.
I was into it.
It's
I was into it,
musical.
Kris.
It's beautiful. I'm sorry there's no joy in your heart, John.
And what's the name of it again? And where do people
Steven
find it?
Universe. You can watch it on Cartoon Network.
There's no gem in my heart.
There's
All right.
none.
Gem. She is excitement.
That's exactly where my heart
Gem
went. It's like,
is
wait a
her
minute,
name. Gem is
he's in a
adventure.
band?
I always wanted to be one
He
of
is in a band, kind of.
Oh, there you
They
go.
sing a lot. It's really cute.
The Pop Culture Crotcheter writes, through weird coincidence, I watched 6 Ryan Reynolds films last week, and the dude's charming even in bad movies. Is this just a natural Canadian trait? Yes. I can tell you, we all have the charm and charisma of Ryan Reynolds.
Every single Canadian.
Every single Canadian. We all have it. And listen, no, seriously though, we were talking about this the other day where Tom Hardy came up and we were talking about the film Lock. Don't for a second think, because of Deadpool, that Ryan Reynolds is just some great goofball guy on screen with great charisma. This dude's an effing great actor. Like, and if you don't know that, go back and watch Definitely Maybe. Which is, I'm not going to say it's my favorite film of his, but it ranks right up there. Go and watch this little film. I can't stop talking about this movie that he did called Buried. And Buried, the entire movie, every frame takes place in a box that he is buried in 6 feet under. And the movie starts with him waking up in this box buried underground with nothing but a lighter and his cell phone. And the entire hour and a half, that's where the entire movie takes place. And if you do a movie like that, your actor better bring it, because that's all you got to look at. And it's genius. And I honestly thought, not win, but I honestly thought Ryan Reynolds should have been nominated for an Academy Award for that. I just thought he was incredible in it. And then you get him in Deadpool. And then I thought he was wonderful in Hobbs and Shaw. I thought he was great in that. So good on you for checking those out. And yes, we are all equally, number one, attractive, and number two, completely charming. And yes, that's just us Canadians. Or by the way, Canadian thing, I mentioned this the other day too. Thank you guys for turning me on to Letterkenny. Oh my God.
Yes.
I showed it to Robert, by the way.
Good.
I just showed him a 3-minute clip of Letterkenny. I honestly thought I was going to have to call an ambulance. His face was turning purple. He was laughing so hard he just couldn't breathe. So thank you to all of you guys who turned me on to the Canadian show Letterkenny the other day. I just about died. Okay, moving on now. Isaac Beebe writes, also, I'm from Australia, and my local theater only plays about 3 ads for small local businesses and then about 3 trailers, which is great. I saw It 2 today, and the ads and trailers combined was 10 minutes. And I never condone commercials. Like, I paid to be here. You don't show me commercials. I paid to be here. Now, you want to, if the showtime is 7 and you want to play commercials from 6:30 to 7, that's fine. You said the show didn't start till 7. If I'm her early, that's on me. You want to play trailers, fine. Or commercials, fine. But after 7 o'clock, now that's my time. I paid for this. You don't show commercials. But 10 minutes of trailers, I'm good with that. We were talking the other day, Erin, about how, like, it's just becoming that we've become desensitized by the movie theater industry that, okay, it's 10 minutes of trailers. Oh, now it's 12. Okay, it's only 2 more minutes.
Right.
Now it's 14 minutes. Now it's 17 minutes. Now it's 20 minutes. Now it's 23 minutes. And now it's 26 minutes. You go into a movie that's supposed to start at 7. You get there at 7 o'clock. Your movie probably isn't starting until closer to 7:30. Now, I don't want to get rid of trailers. I think trailers are part of the movie-going experience.
Absolutely.
But sometimes it's too much. And we were talking the other day about... So I love that.
Well, and especially when you have an hour-and-a-half movie and I have a 2-hour bladder hold, like, I can only have so many trailers. Because don't think that when I'm deciding what movie I'm going to go see, that I'm not looking at the running time, and that is a huge factor in whether or not I'm going to sit through it or not.
Oh, Ray, my brother-in-law Ray, who does the graphics.
I love Ray.
The very first thing Ray ever does, when me and Ann will call and say, hey, we're going to go see this, want to go? How long is it? Mm-hmm. It's 110 minutes. Nah, man. Nah, man. It's not even 2 hours, right? Nah, man.
No, man.
No.
No, I'm not doing that. Not doing that.
90? Yeah, okay, let's go. 91?
No, man.
Okay,
No,
maybe.
man.
Yeah. 95? Nah, man.
No, man.
Seriously.
No, man.
That's Ray. That's right. I
Ray's
have
the
a hard
best.
time getting him to go to that shit. Okay. A Trey Gaming writes, looking forward to Titan Season 2 tomorrow. I know you are not a fan, but do you have any shows coming out soon you are excited for? Coming out soon? I don't keep track very closely. Like, obviously, look, I'm looking forward desperately to Doom Patrol Season 2. Can't wait for that. I'm desperately looking forward to the Umbrella Academy Season 2, which one of the executive producers of Umbrella Academy is in our Star Wars role-playing game group, which is a lot of fun.
He's crushing it, too. He's such a fun player.
He plays a Wookiee.
He makes such interesting choices.
He does. He makes interesting choices. His name's Chris. He plays a Wookiee character, which is challenging to play. Rashir, which is challenging to play. He spent all of last night's session carrying 2 unconscious pirates on his shoulders, which is... Anyway, sorry. We won't bore you with our insider story. But yeah, so there's a lot of shows I'm really looking forward to. I got to admit, I want to look forward to Titan Season 2, but I'm not. Everybody told me to check out Titans, which looked like total garbage because the trailers were awful. But I heard a bunch of people saying, you know what, it's actually pretty good. So I went to check it out, and the very first episode on Titans, there's a city street and a bus goes by. And I'm like, wait a minute. Pause. If you guys have seen the show, you know this is like the first thing in Titans. City street at night, a bus goes by, and I pause. Like, wait. Back it up a couple of frames. That's a fucking Hamilton bus. My hometown, Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And I instantly go to the internet, I'm looking it up. Holy shit, they shot their show in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I got on Twitter, I now proclaim Titans the greatest show in the history of television. This is going to be the shit. This is going to be the best thing ever. And unfortunately, as desperately and as biasedly as I wanted to like it, I just didn't dig it.
Is that Minka Kelly's show?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, she plays Dove. Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
she's a friend of mine. I love Minka.
Really?
Yeah, so I should watch the show because like Minka Kelly and Leslie Ann Brandt are 2 friends of mine, and I don't really watch their shows, but I need to.
You should watch it. I have DCL access. We can watch it.
Okay, let's do it.
She is stupid pretty.
She's stunningly beautiful,
there's pretty and there's stupid pretty.
Beautiful.
and she is the kindest human. I've never had an experience with her where she's been mean to someone, rude to someone, talk shit about it. Like, she's just a really kind soul and just really lovely in all the most lovely ways.
And her storyline is probably the most interesting thing. Honestly, is probably the most interesting about season 1. I don't know. The Jason Todd character bugged the hell out of me, which I guess I don't know. I just wish. But Doom Patrol on the other hand, if I find out you know somebody from Doom Patrol, then we really got to have a we got to have a chat. You're already coming in here. It's like you already tell me you know people in Lucifer, which is like my favorite show on TV. All right, let's keep going here.
Got nothing.
Donaldo Martinez writes. Are we going to tell? Yes. Donaldo Martinez writes, who is more foul-mouthed, Stifler or Deadpool?
Deadpool.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly.
Deadpool.
Yeah.
Not even a question.
Yeah, I mean...
Stifler's just a hornball.
Yeah.
Yes. A lovable hornball.
Totally.
But Deadpool is... Oh, yeah. It's clearly Deadpool. Devilman writes, I'm watching Angelina Jolie's complete filmography in chronological order. She enhances even the bad movies she's in. Listen, she is... We were at D23, and... At D23, they were marching out all the movie stars, like all of them. Like when Chris Pratt and Tom Holland, especially with all the Spider-Man drama that was going on, and nobody was talking about it at D23, Tom Holland obviously got a huge pop. The Rock came out on a big boat because he's got Jungle Cruise coming out. He got a big pop, obviously. But surprisingly enough, the biggest pop of the day was when they're doing the Eternals. And they brought out all the cast for the Eternals, and everybody got big cheers. And they saved Angelina Jolie till last, and they said, and Angelina Jolie. Place lost their minds. Which I wouldn't think she's that big pop culturally. Like, everybody knows she's tremendously talented. Everybody knows she's very, very famous, all that kind of stuff. But I wasn't expecting an audience like the Disney audience at D23 that when they said Angelina Jolie, it's like Beyonce came out on stage. I mean, it was huge. And
I would put her on
great.
par with Beyonce as far as the, Beyonce in the world of music and Angelina Jolie. Randomly enough, I woke up in the middle of the night last night. I did not know this question was going to come in. I woke up in the middle of the night and I said to myself, is Angelina Jolie the biggest actress? Yes. She is.
They're going to say, is Angelina Jolie under my bed?
Is Angelina Jolie in my bed? Yes, she is.
But Beyonce has the Bayhive. What would Angelina Jolie's fans be?
Oh.
But the funny thing about Angelina is, like, she doesn't have any big, massive movies. Like, that's the really most interesting thing. She's that loved and everything without having any big, over-the-top, massive hits. Like, the first...
Was Tomb Raider a hit?
Not really. And it wasn't that good. No. And then the first Maleficent made about $700 million. But lots of Disney films have made $700 million or more. I think that was her biggest film. I mean, not a lot of her films are big, but she's always good in them because I didn't like Maleficent. She's so
good in them. I mean, Gia, she just came out the gate and was brilliant in that. Girl Interrupted, she was just
she won the Academy Award for that. So
Best Supporting Actress.
She's incredible. Anyway, next up, Nathan Oswald. Am I right? Yes. Nathan Oswald writes, Mr. Hand, I will pass this class. Gee, Mr. Spicoli, I don't know. I don't remember the line specifically, but clearly that's from Fast Times at Ridgemount High. It's Spicoli. That's the only Spicoli I know.
No shoes, no shirt, no dice.
Will he ever not be Spicoli? Will Sean Penn ever really not be Spicoli? I mean, he's done a lot of stuff since. He's won Academy Awards since, but he's still Spicoli.
What has he done since Fast Times?
Really?
I'm kidding.
I'm like, wait a minute, done what?
He married Madonna. Hello.
Is Sean Penn under my bed?
That's what he's done.
He was married to Princess Buttercup.
Yeah, he was. Robin Wright Penn.
That's
now she's Robin Wright.
Now just Robin Wright. Okay, let's see. Matt Linton writes, finished The Loudest Voice on Showtime. I gotta watch that just because it's Russell Crowe. It gave me a new perspective on the Me Too movement as a male. I now have a better understanding. It blew my mind. I don't know much about it. I mean, it was you guys on the show, the viewers, who told me about it. I'm like, I don't even know what this is. And you guys, John, Russell Crowe's your favorite actor. He's in. I'm like, really? And I saw the trailer. I'm like, that's Russell Crowe? Which is kind of crazy. It looks awesome. It looks great. I still haven't seen it. But have either of you guys had a chance to watch it yet?
No.
I haven't, but I have to say, Matt, I love what you just said. I love the fact that he said that he didn't really have an understanding of the Me Too movement. And through watching this, he now has a better idea of what it actually means and what people have to go through, and what the challenges are, and how challenging it is when someone is so big and so powerful. Why people don't speak up earlier, why people don't, say anything. I just have to applaud you, Matt. I think that's very, it shows a lot about who you are when someone can go, you know what, I didn't really understand what the big fucking deal was, but now I do. And I think that's one of the reasons why the entertainment industry is such an important thing, is that we have the opportunity to illuminate people on all kinds of things, whether it's what's going on in Bosnia or what's going on in, with Aaron Brockovich and telling everybody about how the water was fucked up. I really think that says a lot about what films and television can do about raising awareness about all kinds of issues. And I think that's a really astute thing that Matt brought up. Mm-hmm.
All right. Next one up is, who is it? There he is. Nathan Oswald writes, to me, Batman Begins is a definitive Batman movie. Not going to lie, Dark Knight, as much as I enjoy it, is kind of overrated. I got to disagree with you. Like, I respect it. And by the way, you're not alone, Nathan. You'd be surprised, everybody, how many people out there, when they list off the Christopher Nolan films, it's obviously not the majority, but there are more people than you might think who actually will say they like Batman Begins more than they like The Dark Knight. I'm not one of them. But there are many people who kind of feel that about it. I really enjoy Batman Begins. Mm-hmm. I don't consider it a definitive Batman movie, to be honest with you. There's just too many issues I have with it. But overall, it is a brilliant movie. I completely adore it. But I think Batman Begins was Christopher Nolan finding his stride and doing a great job at it. And then it was The Dark Knight where he was at his zenith. Like that to me was the best Batman movie ever. I still think Ben Affleck's portrayal as Batman in Batman vs. Superman was the best portrayal as Batman I've ever seen, the best incarnation of Batman I ever saw. But overall, as a Batman movie, I thought The Dark Knight was the best. Mm-hmm. But there are more than that. Do either of you guys prefer Batman Begins over The Dark Knight?
No.
Just no.
Yeah, I don't need to know Batman's origin story.
Again.
It's dead parents. Move on. Get over it.
You're so heartless.
I'm just saying, we all know how Batman started.
To be fair, at the time...
Well, we know how the Titanic sunk too, but,
right. But at the time, the only Batman origin story we'd ever seen on the big screen was the 80s Michael Keaton version of Batman. So to be fair to Christopher Nolan there, and the fact that he was going to be doing a trilogy of films... Might as well start at the beginning. So I kind of forgive
I like
them on
when
that.
we dive into the meat and potatoes of Batman. We get some Joker. We get that really amazing Rogues gallery. I don't want to learn about his training regimen. Show me the good stuff. It's like with Spider-Man's. Oh my God, is Uncle Ben dead? Yeah, I know. I know he is.
We don't need to cover that. Now,
just show me something else.
But with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, we had just had 2 incarnations of it, in the past decade, right? So this is a little bit. I remember when they did when they rebooted the Hulk with Ed Norton Jr. Mm-hmm. I love how they handled it. They kind of told the origin story in the opening credits in about 90 seconds by showing newspaper clippings, and then we're
excellent
just
use
into
of
the
opening
movie.
credits.
Then we're just into the movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we debated opening credits the other
did.
day, and I agree that was a good use of opening credits. All right, we got to keep moving on here. David Crabtree writes, so here's something interesting that I've been meaning to ask. Oh wait, is that a spider crawling up Erin's microphone?
Oh no!
She was kidding.
What a mean
you
super
cannot
chat.
see her, but Erin right now is she's reaching around her body trying to make sure there's nothing there. There's no spider. There's no spider. David was speaking in jest.
David. Oh my goodness.
Yes, no spider crawling up
now
Erin's
I'll be itching myself for the rest of the day.
Erin, David scored one there. Okay, Matsiv Jada
Found
writes.
my week.
Yeah, your kryptonite.
My kryptonite.
Matsiv Jada writes, Bad Boys 4, the only movie to make us want Michael Bay. Yeah, Bad Boy. That's exactly what I was saying earlier, Matsiv. Bad Boys for Life is you never thought you'd hear the words, man, we really miss Michael Bay. But there we go. Nathan Oswald writes, my bottom 10 MCU movies. Number 23, Iron Man 3. Number 22, Captain Marvel. I thought I'd put it in the top half. 21, Thor Ragnarok. Really? What? Number 20, Thor the Dark World. That's normal. Number 19, Age of Ultron. Number 18, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number number 17, Black Panther. Number 16, The Incredible Hulk. Number 15, Captain America: The First Avenger. Number 14, The Avengers. Wow.
Whoa.
I mean, there's a couple. Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, The Incredible Hulk. I can see those being down there, even though I appear in The Incredible Hulk. But wow. But that's the beauty, Nathan. The subjectivity of film is a beautiful thing. Like, we all watch these movies, and they all hit us in a different way. And these ones hit you that way. Others hit others in other ways. So, but it is kind of funny now that we're in an age where you're talking about the worst ones. 23 at number 20. That's how many MCU movies are. At number 23, that's how many there are. It's kind of crazy. All right. Angry Irish Benjamin writes, what Disney Plus content are you most looking forward to apart from The Mandalorian or the Marvel stuff? For me, it's The World According to Jeff Goldblum. That is, I'll tell you what, I had heard about it, but I had no idea what it was. And then I was at D23 at the Disney Plus presentation, and Jeff Goldblum came out on stage, and they talked about it, and they showed us this sizzle reel for it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm really on board for this. It's basically Anthony Bourdain's, No Reservations. But instead just was like anything that Jeff Goldblum is interested in, they'll travel around and just do a thing about that. He was interested in sneakers, so they got an episode where they go and just look at how they make sneakers. He was interested in synchronized swimming, so they do an episode about synchronized swimming. The one I'm looking forward to is one about ice cream, so they go and do a thing. Like, I'm just fascinated by this with a colorful personality like Jeff Goldblum. They had a couple of other very interesting looking things. I keep forgetting Sarah Marshall's name.
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell's
show
got
Encore.
this show Encore, which is interesting. She goes around and gets old high school drama groups back together 10, 20 years later and brings them all back together to recreate the musical that they did when they were in school.
It's like Waiting for Godot. No, that's not like Waiting for Godot.
No,
I was
going to
say, like, sorry.
Is Encore about existential dread?
What's the Christopher Guest movie where they do the community theater? Parker Posey's in it.
Shoot.
I'm just thinking
it's waiting for
Guffman.
Waiting for Guffman.
Yes,
not Waiting for Godot. But
okay.
you see
I
why
kept thinking Best in Show and knew that
Waiting
was wrong.
for Guffman.
I think you hear that now, like Best in Show? Is it?
Yeah.
Waiting for Guffman play on Waiting for Godot.
But yeah, so they bring them all together, so it's like a human story, plus they recreate the musical, and they talk about where they all went after that, because they were all aspiring singers at one time. It looks kind of interesting, it does, but I got to agree with you, man. Is there any other ones that you've heard about, Kris, that are on your radar?
Man, I mean, the Jeff Goldblum one, obviously. I'm so ridiculous on this show about how much I love Jeff Goldblum. And also, Encore gives me the heebie-jeebies because my high school drama program was so intense and so horrible. My theater teacher told a girlfriend of mine like 4 years ago. 4 years ago. I've been out of high school for 1,000 years. She told her to watch out for that Chris Carr because she's trouble. This woman is still talking shit about me. Like,
still talking shit.
What? I was not that bad. I just, I was challenging. I didn't go with the flow always.
Oh, well, there you go. All right.
And that's what's going to make you a goddamn star.
Yeah.
That's what's going to make you a star. All right. Next up, the CTB channel writes, hey, guys, I just watched The King of Comedy. That's awesome. To prepare for the Joker movie, thumbs up. Ooh. It would be a trip if Pumpkin was actually the host in Joker. I know how much you love those shared universes, yeah. But, look, first of all, the two films that everybody is most comparing this new Joker to is you've heard from a lot of different disconnected people saying it's a cross between Taxi Driver and King of Comedy, which if that paints the picture, oh my God. Listen, part of the reason, I have several reasons for being really excited about this Joker movie. The obvious ones, Joaquin Phoenix, one of the greatest actors in the world today. That's fantastic. Number two, finally a standalone movie that's not connected to a stupid shared cinematic universe. I love shared cinematic universe, but it's nice that we don't have to have everything in a stupid shared cinematic universe. A true standalone film. But on top of that is that this is a completely, from everything we're hearing, a very different kind of movie based on a comic book character. Logan started to go in that direction. It sounds like this one really takes it to a further degree. And hearing those comparisons of King of Comedy with Taxi Driver, completely excites me. Erin, I don't know if I've ever asked you about your anticipation level for Joker, where it's at, or why would you be excited for it, or why not?
I'm very excited about it. I think the reason why I'm excited about it is because it's a character that we all claim to know so intimately, but this is going to be such a deep dive into the psychology behind the character, why he is the way that he is, and with someone like Joaquin Phoenix, who really does do the work as an actor to investigate that and to really do a deep dive. And I don't mean not to call out any other Jokers, but people who in an inauthentic way go, I'm going to do some crazy stuff and that's going to get me in character as the Joker. Whereas with
I'm going to mail my co-stars pigs.
Right, exactly. Whereas with Joaquin Phoenix,
I like Jared Leto's Joker. Anyway,
I would be interested in watching this, whether he was playing the Joker or whether he was playing any other character, where there's this type of deep investigatory performance. I am really excited about being blown away by that, and I think that that is also going to open up the way, as we've talked about on this show, open up the way that people look at comic book movies and how you're supposed to do comic book movies. It's opening up the comic book world to a completely new genre within the genre.
If it works, which we're hearing it does.
Well,
I'm also being overwhelmed by how a lot of people are saying, look, what you're not getting from the trailers is how violent this movie is. And that's one of the things that everybody's saying, you're not getting this from the trailer. This is a very violent film. And it's like, well, it is the Joker. So I'm guessing there might, I don't think we're going to see him bashing Jason Todd's skull with a crowbar. Yeah. But, they're supposed to be brutally, brutally violent. So I can't wait to see what we're in for. Okay, Movie Idiot writes, hey, John, wondering if you have any idea to when Rise of Skywalker tickets will go on sale. You did such a great job predicting the Endgame sale date. But I thought the Endgames, honestly, I shouldn't take a lot of credit for that. I thought it was fairly clear and obvious when that was going to happen. Honestly, no idea when, and I really don't care. They'll go on sale when they go on sale, and I'll buy them when they go on sale. So really, ultimately makes no difference to me. So at this point, no idea. I do think we're going to get another trailer here pretty quick. I don't anticipate to go too far in advance, though, and they know they don't need to. So no guess yet at this point, Movie Edit. No guess yet, but as soon as we find out, we will let you know. Absolutely, for sure, we'll let you know. David Tapia writes, just read that Adele Lim, co-writer of Crazy Rich Asians, left the sequel over pay disparity. The optics of paying the white male writer more isn't good. Well, obviously, you didn't have a chance to look in at the show description before you wrote that in. Yeah, we talked ad nauseum about that. Again, just to highlight again, nobody here is saying that everybody, regardless of experience, regardless of talent difference, regardless of everything, everybody should be paid the same. Nobody here is saying that. But the argument here is like, when you look at the resume of these two people, who's done more in the last 10 years, who is a household name, who is not, all that kind of stuff. The amount of the disparity is what's at question here. Like, if it was like, oh, this guy's getting paid $1,000 more than that person, yeah, okay, whatever. For whatever reason, that's fine. It's the sheer, Grand Canyon size chasm difference between somebody who's getting offered between 800 and $1 million and one being offered 110,000 for a movie that's a sequel to one that made 8 times its budget. It just seems a little bit ridiculous. But anyway, I don't want to rehash the whole thing again. Andres Moran writes, just saw The Breakfast Club in my local theater. Holy crap! I haven't seen that on the big screen since the
You're so lucky.
That is one I'd like to see again. I can't remember what it was. Somebody the other day suggested a Breakfast Club 2 today, with where all those characters are today, which could be, if Netflix did that, I'd be down for seeing that.
You know that Judd Nelson's character is not in a good place.
Maybe he's the CEO of a giant company, right? Just because you were one way in high school doesn't mean you don't learn some things before
Miss
going into college and all this kind of stuff.
I know.
Chris Carr's in trouble anymore.
I'm not. I'm a good girl. I've never done anything wrong in my entire life.
Except for sending Kevin Feige a bag of jelly dicks.
I haven't done it yet.
Yet.
Just thinking about it.
Maybe. Oh, you know what? What if Judd Nelson's character and Ali Sheedy's character are married? I felt like they were the better couple anyway.
Could be. I think there are possibilities. That's all I'm saying. I just think there are possibilities. All right. Andres Moran also writes, I have the high ground scene in Star Wars has always worked because I saw it as a seasoned Obi-Wan gloating a hot-headed Anakin into making a mistake. I will 1,000% disagree with you on that. That was not Obi-Wan trying to goad him into something. He was really trying to talk him down. And you can just tell him he was like saying, look, it's over, Anakin, stop, which is silly and ridiculous because at 18 different points in this movie, one had the high ground over the other. And now all of a sudden, Obi-Wan is standing on a 5% grade, sitting about 6 inches higher than Anakin and says, the fight's over. I have the high ground. Really? Then how come all the other times in this fight, that was never an issue? And again, I never once, not once, did I ever get any hint that Obi-Wan was trying to goad him. He really was trying to end it. He did not want to kill Anakin. He was trying to stop him. He's trying to get, but I don't know. That's just the way I've always seen it. Anyway, Andres Moran also writes, my favorite 5 movies in no particular order. Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron. Really? I haven't seen that one in ages. Shape of Water. I like Shape of Water. P.S. I Love You. Love that movie. The Mask. Wow. And Toy Story 3 Love Show. Dude, look, none of those are in my top 10. But that's a great eclectic kind of collection of top 5 movies. So a lot of you guys have been sending in your list of your top 5 favorite movies recently. And one of the things that I love about it is that all the lists look completely different. It's such a beautiful illustration of how the art of movie making affects us all in such different ways. Because I'm seeing so many of these lists coming in, it's like none of them are sometimes not even in my top 20. But it's like, oh my God, that's a beautiful list though. And it really highlights that beautiful piece of movies. Like if I were to ask either of you guys about that, are any of these films in your particular top 5?
No.
No?
But I love that he put Toy Story 3.
Oh.
Trash?
That's 4.
That's 4. Oh,
That's 4.
Man.
3 was the incinerator scene.
Yeah.
But yes, Forky.
Forky.
By the way, that's another thing coming out on Disney Plus that I'm looking forward to is Forky asks a question.
That looks
and
cute.
they showed a part of one of the episodes where it's Forky, and it's basically the episode is Forky asks a question. What is money? And then what's the piggy bank's name again? I keep forgetting.
Porky.
Isn't it just Ham?
It's Ham.
Yeah. Oh.
Ham comes in, and John Ratzenberger, I believe, does the voice, and they talk about what money is and stuff like that. Wow. And it's funny and cute and charming.
Oh, that has to be amazing.
And,
I'm going to watch that.
That looks like it. Oh, and they got another Muppet show.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
As well coming. That looks like it's going to be kind of different, but they weren't really revealing
R-rated?
what it's going to be. Not R-rated.
No.
Like Avenue Q kind of?
Wouldn't that be funny? All right, let's see here. James L.H. writes, hey, John, hope everything is well, but I have to ask, you and Anne going to see Downton Abbey movie. More importantly, is Anne planning a Downton Abbey themed outfit like you do for Marvel, DC, or Star Wars? Oh, my God. If you will indulge me for just a quick second here. So, Anne, you have no idea how profoundly obsessed Anne is with Downton Abbey. And because here's the thing. Anne and Kaori, every day, here we go. Whenever Downton Abbey had a new episode, Anne and Kaori would dress up.
Over this.
They would dress up. They would put on their hats, and they would have tea. They would make tea. They'd get out their biscuits, and they would settle in to watch Downton Abbey. It was, if I came in the house, hey, hon, shut the fuck up, because because the show is on, I should not speak a word. And yes, Downton Abbey was no joke in this house. So when you ask me the question, am I going to be brought along to see Downton Abbey? I like my marriage. So yes, I'm going to go along with Anne and probably Kaori, and Nigel will probably get dragged along too. And we'll go see.
Are friend goals for sure.
Oh yeah,
that's
will she be wearing? Will she be getting dressed up? Oh hell yes. I mean, maybe not head to toe, but she'll definitely do the hat, and that she'll take off when the movie's on to not piss off the people behind her. But they'll do something, and then me and Nigel will just sit there and pass the time, I suppose.
Sit there in silence, respectful
yep,
silence.
respectful silence, and just watch it. And you know what? By the way, I kind of liked Downton Abbey. The episodes that I watched, I thought this is actually kind of compelling. Looking at this house with the two different classes of people and how they I actually thought it was a nice little show. I did. I don't understand why they're making a movie about it. Are you guys hyped for this thing? I don't know. Were you Downtonites or anything?
No, is that what they're called?
I have no idea. I'm just making that up.
I'll go with it. I watched a couple episodes, but I never really got on the hype train.
Similar tale, Zoe Boyle, good friend of mine on the show. You probably haven't watched it, but the following is nuts. I remember going into one of those cost plus world markets, which is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, Anne loves those places.
I love that store, and they had an entire Downton Abbey tea set and plates. You could get the whole thing. Like if you wanted to have your entire dining set be Downton Abbey,
I'm gonna go get that for my mom.
Tea towels and sticker. I mean, it was everything. So they have a big following. So I say good for them to capitalize on that. I mean, if Sex and the City can have a movie, then Downton Abbey certainly should.
There you go. All right. We move on here. Ivan Gonzalez writes, sends in a really big super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel on that level, Ivan. Ivan writes, hey, John, I just watched The Matrix at Dolby Prime, and I loved it. Now, I actually get the existentialism of the movie, and I loved it more for the action when I was a kid. Now it blows my effing mind, especially when I'm high. Hashtag soup goop.
Woo!
You know, it's funny. I've been hearing... I have not had the opportunity or the time to go and watch it in the theater, so I missed it. But I've been hearing from a bunch of you guys, and I actually went back to theater to watch again. Actually, my buddy Soul, he just went to go see it again, and he was just like, it holds up. You see, the bullet time stuff is a little cliched now, but really as a movie, the mythology, the story, even most of the visual effects, he said, it holds up today. I still can't get excited for Matrix 4. I still can't get excited for it. But it does thrill me to hear that everybody's having such a good time watching this thing on the big screen. It's always great when you can get an opportunity to see a movie you love on the big screen again that you haven't had a chance to see in ages. Did either of you guys get a chance to run out and see the Matrix being back in theater?
I did not, no. But I'm reading a book on quantum physics right now, and it's actually, I can't stop thinking about the Matrix because it's reminding me so much of...
You got the brains on Erin. Light reading?
It's my therapist recommended it to me. I'm going to need you to read this book on quantum physics to figure out why you're so fucked up.
I have a How to Learn Money book in my bag right now.
You have a what?
Like How to Learn Money. Like that's the reading level I'm at right now.
Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass at Making Money.
That's the one.
Is that the one? Yeah. Oh my God, it's the best book ever.
I'm gonna be so rich, you guys.
I've got a Calvin and Hobbes book on my bedside right now.
See, you already know quantum physics, and you're already a multi-billionaire, so you don't need these books.
That's right. So
you don't need these books.
All right. Next up, Juan Mija writes, hi, John. Reports claim that Guns N' Roses wrote a new song for the upcoming Terminator soundtrack. Feeling nostalgic. I have not heard that, but that's awesome.
I'm ready for that.
I am so down for that. By the way, one of our readers, I did a play-in chat the other night, and one of the viewers wrote in and said, hey, John, I think it was Haskell wrote in and said, there's a new special coming into select theaters, and it's Metallica with the San Francisco Philharmonic. And I'm like, I'm not the biggest Metallica fan in the world, but I'm so down for that.
That sounds dope.
I am so down for that. Back in my, like it was like even 18 and 19, I got a massive blast when I would hear like metal with classical music playing with it, like that would have string sections playing with them. There was just something about that dichotomy of it blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind.
Today on Twitter, I'm going to post a video. There are these, I think that they're called the two cellos.
I loved, Ann and I go see them every year.
Oh, so then you know exactly what I'm talking about when they play AC/DC, Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
Tom plays that for me, and it's hard not to it's hard not to feel like your soul shaking inside of your body when you're watching that. I love it. And I will say this also, if you were to tell me Guns N' Roses is coming out with a new song, I'd be like, meh, okay. Guns N' Roses coming out with a new song for the Terminator soundtrack,
yeah.
I'm into that.
Yep. So, by the way, I gotta endorse Erin's suggestion here. If you haven't seen the two cellos Thunderstruck thing, It's great. Anna and I go to watch them at the Dolby Theater.
Well, the next time you go, tell me, because I will be into that.
And we bring, and they're both, I think they're Yugoslavian, I think. So they got these very heavy accents, but they're very funny when they perform live.
I'll post the Thunderstruck video on my Twitter today.
It's so good. And they've got like albums of stuff, and it's just them playing the songs with two cellos.
But I also love whenever there's any sort of mashup with a symphony. And like Tom and I recently saw Pink Martini with the LA Orchestra at Hollywood Bowl, and I feel like Metallica with the San Francisco Orchestra sounds like something that would go to the Hollywood Bowl as well. I'm so excited for that, and I love the fact that something like that is being is going to the movie theaters, because it's opening something that would be for a very privileged few who probably only had the opportunity to see it in a live audience with very high ticket prices. It opens that up to a wider audience to have a greater appreciation for the combination of music.
One of my favorite concerts I've ever been to was at the Hollywood Bowl. Ann and I went to go see Peter. Gabriel, thank you. We went to go see Peter Gabriel, but he just did the entire thing with an orchestra. His entire piece was an orchestra. So he did a bunch of original songs, but then he did a couple of his classics, but just with an entire orchestra. And it was amazing. And I got introduced, or it's only the second time I heard the song that was actually Ann and I used as our wedding song that we used for her coming down the aisle. It's his song, and it's called The Book of Love. And he does it with an orchestra. It comes off an album he does. It's the song that they used to play over the final scene of the final episode of Scrubs, which sounds like a weird, like it's a comedy. Aww. If you've not heard Peter Gabriel's song, Book of Love, is one of the most beautiful songs I have ever heard in my life. Like, the book of love is long and boring. No one can lift the damn thing. It's full of songs. And anyway, you gotta go listen to the Book of Love by Peter Gabriel. You'll weep and cry, and you'll want to get married again just so you can play it at your wedding.
So it's not who wrote the book of love.
Totally
That's
different
what I thought
song.
It was.
Totally different songs. Okay, sorry. You know what? Oh my God, I've kept you guys over time. Let's do one more question.
I have an audition, John. I have to go.
That's right. David Tapia just writes, well, not for you guys, but NFL starts today. Yes, that's right. NFL starts today.
Sports ball.
Who are your Super Bowl picks? Way too early to pick. Like, a lot of people are going to say Kansas City or the Rams, and I get that.
I'm saying it's the Rams.
It's not going to be the Patriots this year. I think this is finally going to be the year that my beloved Patriots. They've got the most iconic dynasty ever. It'll never be matched again, but I don't think this is going to be
My cousin was a cheerleader for the Patriots.
Really?
What?
Yeah, my cousin Kaylin.
Oh,
she's wicked.
Kaylin's got a new fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. That.
Do you have any photos of Kaylin in her
Not on my
uniform?
person. Not on my person. Now she's a teacher. I can go look some up though. I just hung out with her in Cape Cod.
A hot teacher.
Ann and I went to Boston.
Her kids somewhere like, oh God, stop.
A year and a half ago, we went to Boston for her work. So I went with her because it was close to home for me. And we had to, being there, we had to make a pilgrimage to Gillette Stadium so I could go. I went to the stadium where the Patriots play, and it was like a religious homage for me. It was great. Okay, now the final question before we let you guys go. James LH writes, seeing these top 10s, my favorite films, the Star Wars trilogy for years. I have heard friends say, can't have 3 films as one. Thanks for showing I'm not the only one. Because I do that. When I give my top 10 of films, I say, the Star Wars trilogy, I just count that as one. I also just count the Lord of the Rings trilogy as one. So I'm allowed to do that. Also, I cheat for number 2, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Again, I'm totally down with that. The other 8 in no order. Raiders of the Lost Ark, awesome. Jaws, awesome. Shawshank, one of the greatest motion pictures in the history of mankind. 12 Angry Men, awesome. Bridge on the River Kwai, also in my top 10. Dark Knight, Saving Private Ryan, Godfather, woo! Also in my top 10 as well. And then he just puts as an addendum there too. About 12 Angry Men, best courtroom film ever. Over 10 years ago, I was selected for jury duty. First thought I get to be Henry Fonda. It was fascinating though about money laundering. Unfortunately, guilty. Anyway, this is the first top 10 for me, guys, where actually there's a bunch of people on your list, James, that are also in mine. Obviously, Shawshank is up in there. Bridge on the River Kwai, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. Yep, you're speaking my language here, James. You're speaking my language. What about you two guys? Are any of these films that he has on his top 10 in your particular top 10?
Shawshank.
Yeah, Shawshank is so good. Not Godfather, though.
I don't know. I think maybe Star Wars would be in there. For me, my top 10 is more about movies that have influenced me rather than like classic amazing films. Like I would have like Clue and Muppet Treasure Island in my movie list because those movies greatly influenced the everything I've done with my life.
I think that's a really
everything I've done with my life.
That's actually also a really good point. Is like what makes a movie one of your favorite films. Like for me, if it's something that I will stop everything that I'm doing if it's on TV and I have to sit there and watch it until the end because I just can't take my eyes off of it, that's my favorite movie, which is why I have Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Natural Born Killers and Pretty Woman and Shawshank Redemption. So it's really interesting how, in one person's mind, it's, oh, these are great films. And another person's mind, it's this helped shape who I am. And for me, I can't control my microphone. It's the spider! It's the spider!
But it's funny you mention that because for me, like Star Wars, which, if you could see anything behind me, my whole life revolves around Star Wars.
He kind of likes it.
A little bit.
He's a casual.
I'm kind of into Star Wars. But on top of that, it is my earliest childhood memory of my mom taking me to see that. And I have no other memories for like another 5 years after that. But it completely dictated the direction I took my life. Like the fact that everything I ever did creative in my life was because of the imagination explosion that started with Star Wars to me. It always had me thinking in the stars. It always had me thinking about storytelling and movies and my obsession with film and the medium of on-screen storytelling and stuff like that. And I can honestly say I am sitting here doing this today because of Star Wars. That's why I do what I do, is because of Star Wars. And so it's both my favorite and the most influential film over me, like, ever. And there's that. Anyway,
the book
guys,
of love is a long book.
it's long and boring. No one can lift the damn thing.
If someone wants to take John talking about his love of Star Wars and put Peter Gabriel's The Book of Love over it,
Yes! Make it so,
with
Internet.
the little After Effects twinkle in my eye.
I shall
Yeah.
retweet that.
Oh.
I shall retweet it.
Listen, guys, we're going to keep going here, and we're going to keep answering questions for another 20 minutes or so. However, as she said, Erin does have things she's got to get off to do. Kris has got things she's got to get off and do. So this is going to wrap it up for them for today. Erin, thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you online?
You can find me at Erin L. Cummings and also on my podcast, Kappa Kappa Cancer, your guide to the sorority you never wanted to join. And please, 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 around 12:15 today, give me a little special prayer or shout out in your mind because I have an audition and I really, really, really want to get this job.
Which you told us all about it, and it sounds exciting.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for you. And just, by the way, when does your new series,
And All Rise will be
premiere
premiering
on
on CBS Monday nights at 9 p.m. starting on September 23rd.
Yay.
So that's just a couple of weeks now?
Just a couple
weeks. Of course, also joining us is Kris Carr. Kris, where can people find you?
You can find me at actor Kris Carr on Twitter and Instagram, or you can go check out my videos over on YouTube's Nerdwire page, which a couple of you have, so thanks so much.
And you're also playing a badass scout.
I'm playing such a badass scout. I'm the only murderer in our group, you guys.
So far, yes.
No one's murdered anyone yet
in
except
two
for
game
me.
sessions, she's the only murderer so far. Listen, guys.
I have the dopest guns.
Great to have you guys here. We will see both of you guys again soon. All right, guys, let's keep on going. Still a bunch of questions from you guys coming in, so let's keep things rolling with that right now. Jonathan Teft writes, thank you, Fathom Events. Saw Lawrence of Arabia. Awesome. For the first time on the big screen last night, also in my top 10. And it was epic. T.E. Lawrence is one of the most captivating characters I've ever seen in film, which is one of the reasons why he's like one of my all-time favorite actors. Peter O'Toole is one of my all-time favorite actors. And it's amazing how active he stayed even in his latter years. And it's funny with all the iconic things he's done. When I think of him, the first thing I go to is this little movie he did like in the 80s, early 80s, I think. I saw when I was a little kid called My Favorite Year, which I totally adored. So that's awesome. You got to see that. Anything. Jonathan continues with that. The cinematography and grand scale of the movie was nothing short of incredible. Why can't we get movies like this today? Absolutely. These truly, I'm guilty of this too. We misuse the word epic quite often. And I'm guilty of that as well, by the way. We misuse the word epic a lot, but it is one of those true epics of filmmaking, right? And you're right, we don't get a lot like those anymore. Because I think only a very special few are capable of making movies like that. It's absolutely incredible. I'm filled with a whole lot of envy right now, Jonathan, that you got to have that. Filled with a whole lot of envy. I'm glad you had a good time, dude. All right. Cameron W. writes, John, you've come up with some marvelous nicknames, intros, etc. Maybe it's time to change your bye-bye sign-off, stay filthy, or some such. No, my bye-bye, that's, honestly, I never came up with bye-bye to be my outro catchphrase. It's just what I naturally said. Bye-bye. And until next time, aloha? Like what? Like what? And until next time, later on the man, Jay. Do you guys know that quote? Anyway, what am I, later Jobin? Like, what am I supposed to say? So I just say bye-bye. I don't say it, honestly, because it's a catchphrase. I just say it because that seems like the natural thing to say is bye-bye. So anyway, that's kind of what I do. But I appreciate you looking out for my image, man. I appreciate you looking out for my image. All right, Ryan Lohner writes, the CW is about to provide the perfect excuse for Affleck changing into Pattinson. It's not called Crisis on most Earths, after all. Well, no, there's no connection. Warner Brothers has always been very, very clear that they have none and they have no plans to have any connection between their television universe and their movie universe at all, which I think is the right thing to do. It's bad enough that everything is cinematic universe already. Do we even have to start combining the different cinematic universes? No, I'm not for it at all. I'm not for it. You don't need an excuse. You just do it. That's the thing about the movies. You don't need an excuse. You just do it. And everybody adjusts and everybody's fine. When they made the switch from Maguire to Andrew, no change needed. When they went from Andrew to Tom, no explanation needed. You just do it and you move on, and the audience will get on board and the audience will catch on. So I wouldn't do something like that personally. That's just my opinion on that. I know there are others, though, Ryan, that would like to see them cross the television universe and the movie universe. I personally think it's a horrible idea, but that's just me. I know others have different opinions, and I totally respect that. All right. Brandon Blake writes, Top 5. 5, Field of Dreams. That's a great one. 4, A River Runs Through It. Another really good one. 3, Raiders of the Lost Ark. 2, Star Wars. Number 1, Rocky 4. Rocky 4 is great. Rocky 4 is great. I must break you. It's like iconic. I love that movie. Again, other than Star Wars, none of those in my top 10, but again, solid, great movies, Brandon. I mean, I love hearing these lists because they're so different and diverse, and I'm being reminded of all these wonderful movies. I haven't heard anybody else mention Rivers Run Through It. Great movie. Not brought up enough. It's a really, really great movie. I'm glad you mentioned that one. All right, James Lockman writes, well, number 1, aloha, John. I hope you had a great evening. I did. We had a great evening, had a bunch of friends over last night, played some Star Wars role-playing game. It was awesome. And just so you know, we might start live streaming our Star Wars game. We might. Here's the thing, though. Playing in a Star Wars game is a lot of fun. I don't know if anybody would find it all that interesting to watch it. I've had a lot of you guys asking me to live stream it. It's okay, but I'm not going to set up a studio where we have 7 cameras and everybody's individually mic'd and blah. I'm not going to do that. I want to play a game. I'm not trying to put on a show. I just want to play a game. So I might just set up one camera with one mic in the middle of the table, and it'll be bad picture quality. I put up a clip of us playing the other day. It'll be just like that. But I've had some people telling me that they'd like to see us live stream it. I'm like, okay. I don't think that sounds that exciting, but me and our game group last night talked about it a little bit. We said, there've been some people asking for us to live stream us playing. I don't know if that'll make us uncomfortable knowing that there's, a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand people watching us, what we're doing. Does that take away from the atmosphere of it being a relaxed atmosphere to play? Does it make it more tense and uncomfortable to play? So I don't know. We're thinking about it. So we might start live streaming us playing this Star Wars game. We maybe not. I don't know. The game we're playing right now is called Traitor of the Empire, and it's a game I actually designed. So it's a game I wrote for the Star Wars D6 system from West End Games. That's the system we're playing. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Anyway, so I did have a great evening. Back to your question, James. One of my favorite shows from the early 90s was the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. Do you know if this will be on Disney Plus? And do you think Disney is ready to start making more Indiana Jones movies? I wouldn't be surprised at all. I don't know the answer to that, James. But I will say that I'll be surprised if it's not on there. I'll be surprised if it's not on Disney Plus. I suspect it will be, but I don't know for sure. As far as is Disney ready to start making more Indiana Jones movies? Well, they've been saying forever they are making one, but it just keeps getting delayed. Harrison Ford isn't getting any younger. So I'm at the point of that I will believe it when I see it. They keep saying they're doing it. They keep saying they're going to do it. But again, I can't possibly believe them. I can't possibly take them seriously. I can't possibly actually think that's going to happen until I actually see it happening. You know, there's just been too much false starts about it. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. They keep saying they're doing it. They keep saying they're moving forward. Steven Spielberg says it's happening. Harrison Ford says it's happening. But okay, I'll believe it when I see it. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. Don't misquote me. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just saying I'll believe it when I see it. So that's where we're at right now. Willow Yang writes, if you can be any race from Lord of the Rings, which would you be? I'd be a hobbit. Oh, elf. Yeah, for sure. Are you kidding? Basic immortality. There's a magic about them. Great warriors. Yeah, man, I don't see a lot to go against being elf. Hobbit seems like a good lifestyle, but elf seems pretty badass. So I would probably myself, Willow, I'd probably go elf. Initial D's writes, thanks for the entertainment. My favorite trio, John, Erin, and Kris, assuming they're here today. They were here today. They just left Initial. Kris, have you seen anime Erased? It's great time travel murder mystery. Okay, I can't be sure of this, Initial. I think she's talked about that before, actually. If I'm not mistaken, I think she's actually mentioned that one before and talked about it. So I don't want to speak for her, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yes, she's probably has seen it because she's into all that stuff. And I think I remember her mentioning that title specifically, but I'll ask her about it a little bit later. I'm going to see her a little bit later today, so I'll ask her about that. Jared Oberfeld writes, It Chapter 2 and Joker. Okay, Warner Brothers, send in the clowns. Yeah, right now, they got a lot riding on clowns. They've got a lot riding on clowns, and that's absolutely true. It's a couple of their biggest successes this year could be based on clowns. Andrew Laxton writes, number 1, Lord of the Rings. Number 2, The Dark Knight. Number 3, Inception. Number 4, Signs. Number 5, Raiders. Number 6, Toy Story. Number 7, Braveheart. Number 8, Empire. I'm assuming you mean Strikes Back. Number 9, 7, and number 10, Django. Again, I don't think it'd be Star Wars and Raiders are in my top 10. Braveheart's in my top 20. No others in my top 10. Oh, obviously Lord of the Rings. But fabulous list. These are all fabulous movies, Andrew. Like, I'm looking at these, I'm thinking, it just, you know what's funny? If you're like me, somebody mentions a movie you like, and your heart gets a little bit more filled with joy. Like, I read The Lord of the Rings. Somebody just mentions Lord of the Rings films. I feel a little bit of joy. Somebody mentions The Dark Knight. I get a little bit of joy. Somebody mentions Inception. I feel joy. Somebody mentions Signs, I feel joy. Somebody mentions Raiders or Toy Story or Braveheart or Empire or Seven or Django. My heart just gets filled with joy just hearing people mention these movies I love, which I think is another reason why I like these lists that you guys send in. Thanks for sharing that, Andrew. All right. James Hoffman writes, Batman and Joker is such an iconic rivalry, and Phoenix's Joker looks so good. I would love a crossover with Pattinson's Batman. I mean, look, again, I'm not saying I don't see why people wouldn't be intrigued by a Robert Pattinson Batman versus a Joaquin Phoenix Joker. I see the appeal. I do. I see the appeal. I just don't see anything there that really suggests that's going to happen. And I've personally also got a lot of reasons why I don't want it to happen. You know, this Joker movie you've promised us is a true standalone story. Not shared cinematic universe or anything like that. And this world that they seem to be creating the Joker, I don't know that Batman could exist in it. Again, I haven't seen the movie, so I'm just speculating. I'm just pure speculating. But so I don't want it to cross over. I don't think there's anything indicating that it will. But I can see, James, where people like you and others would get a little bit of excitement at the notion of, hey, a Robert Pattinson Batman and a Joaquin Phoenix Joker. I mean, yeah, obviously that elicits some excitement. Sure it does. Absolutely. I've got my reasons for not wanting it, but it has nothing to do with not thinking those are two good performers and that they wouldn't do well together on screen. Not at all. Obviously they would. But yeah, I just don't think it's a good idea. That's all. But I totally see where you're coming from, James. All right. Speaking of James, we got another James. James Lockman writes 1 of 2. John, you mentioned one of your favorite SNL sketches where Eddie Murphy looks like a white man. That was great. Classic. My favorite SNL sketch is Sweaty Balls with why am I freezing on the Baldwin's name? Why am I freezing on Baldwin's first name? Anyway, not his brother Steven. Alec Baldwin, that's what it is. With Alec Baldwin, I don't know how they did that with a straight face. You should watch that one if you haven't. Oh, they did several of them. There isn't just one. They went back and did that one a couple of times. So it's a PBS radio, like some kind of public broadcast radio show where they talk like this. And it's 2 female hosts. And they bring in a guy played by Alec Baldwin, who's a local businessman. His name, like, I don't know, Ralph Schweddy or something like that. But he makes like donut balls and he goes, everybody loves my sweaty balls. And they just keep talking about sweaty balls. It's like, oh, I just love getting the sweaty balls in my mouth and just the little saltiness. It's so hard not to crack up hysterically when you watch. If you have not seen the Alec Baldwin sweaty balls SNL sketch, I highly recommend you look it up. Because they are really outstanding. They're fantastic. All right. Chris Warden writes, top or you probably meant top of the morning to you, John. How excited are you for UFC 242? Very excited. It's in 2 days. Khabib Nurmagomedov, a huge advantage in this fight. But Poirier has great wrestling and KO power. Here's the thing. I always trip over his last name. Nurmagomedov, Khabib Nurmagomedov. He is the baddest man on the planet. It's just that simple. You can keep, I love Stipe, love Stipe. John Bones, great fighter. Max Holloway, great fighter. On and all the champions and great fighters. But Khabib is another breed of animal. Khabib Nurmagomedov is simply the absolute apex predator walking the face of the earth. While that's true, Dustin Poirier, you better believe he has a chance. Poirier, I mean, his wrestling's good. It is. It is not Khabib level wrestling. All right. He will get completely outclassed wrestling. Everybody knows, and Poirier knows, that to win this fight, Poirier needs to keep this fight on the feet, and he needs to catch Khabib a couple of times. Because, by the way, Khabib's not like one of these guys who's never been hit. Khabib has taken major shots before, and they don't even faze him. That's the crazy thing. He has been hit, like Conor McGregor landed shots on Khabib, didn't faze him. So Poirier is going to have to, number one, keep Khabib from doing this to him. Because the moment Khabib does this, that fight may be over. But if he can keep the fight on the feet, he's not only going to be able to have to land one or two, he's going to have to land combinations. But if he can do that, he's got a shot to win this fight. Now, if I had to put $1,000 on this fight, and I never would, if I had to put $1,000 on this fight, I put every cent of it on Khabib. I would put every cent of it on Khabib. But don't confuse that for saying Poirier doesn't have a chance. Poirier is a great fighter. He put on a clinic on that fight with Max Holloway. That was a clinic he put on. It was beautiful. And I think this is going to be a great style matchup. I think Khabib wins this fight, but do not think for a second that Poirier doesn't have a chance, because this guy is a talented hunter. He's a hunter. But he's fighting another guy who's an apex predator, who's just top of the food chain to me on the planet. So we'll see. We'll see how that turns out, but I am so stoked for that fight, Chris. So stoked. It's a good card, too. Overall, it's a good card. Benny95 writes, just got out of seeing It Chapter 2, and everyone loved it. Great group experience. Not terrifying, just entertaining. That old lady scene, though, wow. Yeah, and they showed us the full old lady scene at CinemaCon in April. It was bonkers good. I'm very excited. I'm hearing it's not quite as good as It Chapter 1, which is fine because It Chapter 1 was so good that even if It Chapter 2 is like here, that's still plenty good. So I'm hearing from other people, it's really solid, just maybe not quite as good as the first one. To me, that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Because that first one's a really high bar. And Ann and I are actually going to go see it tonight. We bought our tickets this morning. Having to do that AMC A-list thing where it's, okay, get ready, 1, 2, 3, order, where we get our individual seats, but we're going to go see it tonight. I'm very stoked for it, dude. I'm glad you had a good time, Benny. All right, Matt Torres writes, in an official Lucasfilm magazine for The Last Jedi, they said Snoke has trained at least one other apprentice. Would certainly be interesting if it was Evil Rey or Clone Rey. I emailed you. Yeah, I heard about that, Matt, and to me it means nothing. It means less than nothing. Look, if Snoke is as old as we seem to think he is, it only makes sense that in his history, he's maybe had another one or two or multiple apprentices. I don't see any reason not to believe that, but I also don't see anything indicating or why we should think for 1 second it would be somebody that's significant to the current story. I don't think there's anything to suggest that. That would be like Clone Rey, Twin Rey, Evil Rey, Rey herself, who has a memory loss. I don't know. So yeah, that is a line that was in a magazine, not being quoted by anybody from the movies, but it is in an official magazine. But honestly, I think it had zero meaning. To be frank, I saw that and I just thought, this doesn't really mean anything. So I don't think that we're going to see that come into play. And I certainly don't think it's as prevalent as being he's talking about Rey's twin or Rey's clone or whatever. So yeah, I saw it. It's interesting, but it also just makes common sense. And I don't think it applies to anything. It's not going to have any bearing on Star Wars Episode 9. Could totally be wrong about that. Absolutely could be. But I think it's much ado about nothing, to be honest with you. But it's an interesting thing for sure. It's interesting that line's there. So thanks for bringing it up, Matt. I appreciate that. All right. Patrick Clare writes, top 5 movies of all time. Number 1, Civil War. Number 2, Inception. Number 3, Empire Strikes Back. Number 4, The Proposal. I love The Proposal. Love that movie. Number 5, Cinderella Man. What do you think? I think Cinderella Man, not but one of the most underrated films ever. Russell Crowe stars in it, based on a true story. It is powerful and moving and exciting and charming and warm and filled with heart, and it's amazing. I love Cinderella Man. True story about a boxer. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful film. In my top 20. Not in my top 10, in my top 20. Obviously, in my top 10, Empire Strikes Back. That's the only one I've got on your list that's in my top 10. But yeah, good list, solid list. But I'm so happy, Patrick, that you mentioned Cinderella Man. Hector Rios writes, It 2 on IMAX tomorrow night. You'll float too. I'm very excited. I'm glad you get to see it. I'm going to go see it tonight. Very pumped for it. Woo! Okay, I'm always in a good mood on a day I know I'm going to the movies. Like seriously, going to the movies is still like the best thing in the world to me. I just love going to the movies. And every day, when there's a day that I know me and Ann are going to the movies that night, it's just a good day. I'm just in a good mood. I feel good. I'm really excited. So yeah, man, going to the movies tonight to see Chapter 2. JCL Productions writes, Hey, John, might have missed this, but is the worst movie, best movie podcast dead or on hiatus? No, we've talked about this several times. So best movie, worst movie will always go in seasons because with training schedules, particularly for the Olympic swimmer. Ooh, I'm an Olympic swimmer. Obviously Cody he's in heavy training and he's competing right now. So we'll always probably I originally intended our season 1 to be like 10 episodes. but we got so busy it ended up being 6. But we are going to, in the next couple of months, be recording another batch of Best Movie, Worst Movie, the podcast. But again, it'll probably be between 6 and 10 episodes, and then we're going to take another 4 or 5 month break, and then we'll do another 6 to 10 episodes, do a 4 or 5 month break. So it's probably always the way it's going to be. It's just the nature of our schedules, but it is coming back, and it is coming soon. So keep your eyes open for it. But thank you for asking, JCL. Murray Reich writes, anything negative you say about the Bad Boys 3 trailer, Josh McCouga will have your head. He is a diehard bad boy. He's as long as I've known him. He always gets excited whenever you would mention Bad Boys around him. And I hope, if for no other reason than for his sake, that this movie is great. I just saw nothing good about the trailer. Yes, it's Bad Boys 3. Yay! But aside from that, I didn't think there was anything good about it. I didn't think the jokes were funny. I didn't think the action looked all that fresh. Will Smith looks great, but I didn't feel that chemistry between the two of them. And I thought Lawrence was honestly felt really rusty. I'll just be honest. He felt really rusty to me. So I don't know. We'll see. Again, it's just a trailer. I've seen lots of trailers that I didn't like to movies that I eventually did really like, right? Just like we see lots of trailers that we love and then we hated the movies. I've seen lots of trailers that I didn't like and then I ended up really liking the movie. And maybe that'll be the case with Bad Boys. After all, we're just talking about the trailer. We're not talking about the movie here. But I just didn't see any redeemable qualities about the trailer. But that's just me. That's just me. Okay. Orange Hand writes, I will smash your face into a car windshield and take your mother, Dorothy Mantooth, out for a delicious seafood dinner and never call her again. Of course, that's from Anchorman. Great scene. Great scene. Vince Vaughn is fabulous in that, as Mantooth, by the way. He is fantastic in that scene. But yeah, it's great. I love that scene. I love the way that line is, and never call her again. I love the delivery of that line. It's fantastic. Nice quote. All right. Duroc Media writes, catching up on your yesterday's show and will be finished by the today's on friendship movies. That movie, Lord of the Rings, is why my favorite. Try this again. Catching up on your yesterday's show and will be finished by the today's. On friendship movies, that movie, Lord of the Rings is why it's my favorite. What I think you're talking about is on yesterday's show, I think it was yesterday, I talked about how scenes of extreme demonstrations of loyalty and friendship are the things that really get to me. Romance doesn't get me choked up or cry. Sad things often don't get me choked up and cry in movies. But extreme examples of loyalty and friendship will choke me up. And, End of the Best is one great example of that. My Best Friend's Wedding is a big example of that. But you're right, that scenes in Lord of the Rings, particularly that we talk about all the time, one of the greatest scenes in the history of cinema. Aragorn comes in, gets down on his knee at the coronation in front of the hobbits and says, my friends, you bow to no one. And he takes a knee in front of the hobbits, and then all of Middle-earth kneel before these hobbits. Fabulous, Duroc. Absolutely fabulous. I'm glad you brought it up. All right, Toonie2 writes, over under 30%, Lion King is not the number 2 box office hit of the year. Well, that's actually a pretty good question. Because as of right now, I believe Lion King, I'm going to bring it up here. Lion King box, I believe it's sitting at 1.5 billion. I believe it's sitting at 1.5 billion. Let me look it up here. 1.57 billion. Okay. So, at $1.57 billion, that as of right now has Lion King as the number 2 movie of the year. At for 2019 at 1.57 billion. That makes it the number 2 box office film of the year. Can anything this year catch it? Obviously, there's only one film that has the potential of catching it. I think Frozen 2 will be a $1 billion film. I don't think it can get to 1.5 billion. But who knows, right? Nobody really thought the first Frozen would be a $1 billion film either. Nobody thought Frozen was going to be a $1 billion film. And look at what happened. It is. I don't think Frozen will be a $1.5 billion film. Obviously, the only thing that really stands in its way of becoming the second biggest film of the year is Star Wars Episode 9. I do think Star Wars Episode 9 will make over $1 billion, but less than $2 billion. I am going to say there is an over 30% chance that Lion King will not be the number 2 box office hit of the year. I think there is over a 30% chance that Star Wars Episode 9 will make more than it. But I wouldn't say over 50%. So if you were to ask me right now, do I think Star Wars Episode 9 will make more than The Lion King did? My answer is actually no. But I don't think the chances are as low as 30%. I think that's a little bit too low. I would set it at like 45%. So I will say there is a over 30% chance that Lion King will not be the number 2 box office hit of the year. But I would say it would be under 50 though. Over 30, but under 50. So that's where I'm going to sit on that right now. All right. KW writes, have you guys had a chance to see the Peanut Butter Falcon? I get asked that every single day. Every single day this week, somebody's asked me this question. Shia LaBeouf may contend for a Best Actor nomination, which is also what a lot of people are saying. It's the one big film that I haven't had a chance to watch yet. And I'll be honest, at this point, I'm probably not going to see it until it's available on home video of some sort. I'm probably not going to see it in theaters at this point until it's available on home streaming at that point. But everybody I'm hearing from on the show, Cade, yourself, other people are saying it's really great and that a lot of people are buzzing about Shia LaBeouf as an Oscar contender. So we'll have to see if that actually pans out. Jesse writes, I'd like it to be a standalone, but the thought of a future Batman with Pattinson and Phoenix directed by Matt Reeves makes my little nerd mind explode. I mean, again, I can totally see that. Absolutely. I totally understand why somebody would think about the possibility of a Robert Pattinson Batman and a Joaquin Phoenix Joker. That's got some potential to it, directed by Matt Reeves, which, by the way, we haven't seen Matt Reeves' first Batman movie, so maybe we'll think something different after we see it, or maybe we'll think it's even better. But the notion of that, directed by Matt Reeves, Joaquin Phoenix, Robert Pattinson, Batman Joker, it's an exciting prospect. But for a bunch of other reasons I've already explained, I wouldn't want it. Not now. I want this Joker movie to be a standalone story, a one-shot, true standalone movie. That's what I want it to be. To tell the movie studios, you can make these isolated one-shot in their own universe, not connected to a broader cinematic universe movies. You can make these movies and make them great and be successful. And you don't have to be tempted to draw them into a shared cinematic universe with anything else. But on its surface, though, Jesse, I can't argue with you, brother. I mean, the notion of that does sound exciting. I can't argue with that. All right, KW writes, if Avatar 2 does very poorly, what does that mean for Avatar 3 and the movies they shot back to back? Do they theatrically release them or hold off? Oh, no. No matter what, Avatar 3 is getting released. No matter what. No matter what. Even if the Avatar 2, say, I don't know, makes $500 million at the box office, right? Which it'll do much better than that. But even if it just made $500 million at the box office, they will still do. Why? Because they already spent all the money on making Avatar 3, and they'll definitely make more money than what they would spend to put it in theaters. Right? Definitely will. The big question, though, Cade, is what happens to 4 and 5, which they're not shooting yet? What happens to those? If Avatar 2 comes out and makes like $500 million, then 4 and 5 ain't going to happen. I'll just tell you that right now. That won't happen. 3 gets its theatrical release regardless. Nothing's going to stop 3 from getting a theatrical release. That's going to hit theaters. The big question, though, is what happens to 4 and 5, and those are the ones that are in question. But again, I think it's almost kind of moot. Avatar's going to make a lot of money. It's not going to make $2 billion like the previous, but it's going to make a lot of money. Even if it makes $800 million, that's a huge hit. Huge hit. Even if it's less than half of what the first one made, it doesn't matter. It's a massive hit. If it makes like $800 million, it's going to make money. So it's the point. The question is a little bit moot, but again, if it comes out and makes like $500 million, 3 will get made regardless, or 3 will be put into theaters regardless, but 4 and 5 become a question mark. They definitely become a question mark. Even James Cameron has said that himself. He said, well, we're making these 2 back to back, but I mean, who knows? I mean, if nobody watches these things, 4 and 5 don't get made. And I think he's absolutely right about that. Anyway, good question. Jordan Sperlin writes, going to see It Chapter 2 this weekend with the same friend I saw the first one. So excited. You know, somebody else wrote about that the other day, about they went to go see the first It with a group of friends, and now the whole group of friends is getting back together to go watch It Chapter 2, which I think is great. These movies are best as shared cinematic experiences. Shared cinematic experiences. And when you can do that and have that little tradition, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think that's great, Jordan. Hope you guys have a good time. All right, Scott D writes, top 10. 10, Pulp Fiction. Nice. Number 9, Inception. Number 8, Life is Beautiful. Thank God somebody mentioned Life is Beautiful. Roberto Benigni's masterpiece. Number 7, Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Really? Okay, cool. 6, The Fountain. Number 5, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Number 4, Dumb and Dumber. And would love that you put that on your list. Number 3, It's a Wonderful Life, Beautiful. Number 2, New Hope. Number 1, The Natural. Really? So you got some Robert Redford in there. You got some Ben... Where did it go? I saw the movie there. Where did it go? There it is. Secret Life of Walter Mitty. So a nice mixed bag of movies there. You got some old classics. You got like some like Inception in there. You got a foreign film in there with Life is Beautiful. You got, Redford in there with The Natural. That is the Redford movie, right? I believe it is. Anyway, that's a nice list. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty is the one that surprises me a little bit. That one surprises me a little bit. I didn't love that movie, to be honest with you. I didn't love that movie. But a nice mix of films here. You got some sci-fi, you got some drama. Really nice, solid list, Scott. I like that list. Thanks for sharing it, dude. All right. Luis Maya writes, is it possible that we can get a grittier standalone Batman universe with a Joker tie-in? You can, but I don't want there to be. Because then it's not a standalone universe, right? You can't go, great, this is a standalone universe. Now let's cross it over with that movie. Well, now it's not a standalone universe, is it? Is it possible, Luis? Absolutely, it's possible. There's nothing to stop them. I don't want them to do it though, because I want this Joker to be a standalone universe movie, a single, isolated, one-shot movie. That's what I want it to be. And I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see it. And that's where I want it to stay. But if you're asking if it's possible that they could throw open those floodgates and go in a different direction, absolutely. It's their characters. They can do whatever they want. So if anybody tells you it's not possible, that's completely incorrect. But Joaquin Phoenix doesn't like to do those. No. That's a good reason to explain why it's improbable. It's not probable that it'll happen. They've already said this is a standalone movie. Agree, but that just says it's very improbable that they'll do it. It doesn't mean it's impossible that they could do it, because they could change their minds or they could do different things. So if you're one of these guys, Luis, that is really on this idea that you would love to see it, I got to tell you what, I don't want to see it. There is hope. There is hope they could do it. For me, it's a nightmare, but for you, it's hope. There is hope. Because as long as it's their property, they can do whatever they want tomorrow. Walter Mata could wake up today and think one thing. He could wake up tomorrow and think something else. Right now, I think it's very improbable, but it's still possible. To quote Dumb and Dumber, so you're saying there's a chance. There's a chance. There's absolutely a chance, Luis. All right, K Major writes, not gonna lie, at one point in my life, I wanted Bad Boys 3 to redeem the train wreck that is Bad Boys 2, but now I'm a bit worried. Also, watch the masses call for a Rush Hour 4 now. Dear God, no, 3 was horrible. Well, the only Rush Hour film I liked, and I actually admit liked a lot, was Rush Hour 2. I didn't like Rush Hour 1. Rush Hour 3 was terrible. Jackie Chan has been saying for a long time that they're going to do a Rush Hour 4. Chris has been saying for a long time they're going to do Rush Hour 4. They've been saying that for years. I feel like every year a new story, a new quote comes out saying, John, did you see Jackie Chan just confirmed they're going to do 4? And I feel like that happens every year for the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years. And I don't know, But again, I hope Bad Boys 3 turns out great. I hope every movie I go see is great. I hope this turns out great. The trailer hasn't given me more enthusiasm, though. That's all I'm going to say. The trailer has failed to give me more enthusiasm, but we'll see. Let's see. Tom Weinberg writes, I saw that Yogi Bear Jesse James parody, John. What? I know, right? So we were talking about this yesterday. There's this great movie called The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford. And somebody made this animated spoof of that, but replaced the two key characters with Yogi Bear and Boo Boo. And it's crazy. I don't know why I love it so much, but I do. I think it's wonderful and great, and I'm glad you checked it out, Tom. But it is a WTF kind of thing. It absolutely is. I'm not going to deny that. All right. Valhalla Erickson writes, does streaming making their shows a week by week makes them no different than cable TV? No, it doesn't. Might as well stick with cable TV. Nonsense. No, that's not true at all. If you think the only thing that's different between streaming services, which by the way, already a lot of streaming services do week by week releases. Anyway, is that's the only difference between them and cable TV? No, they're completely different things. There's so many different ways that they're different. Like cable TV, okay, Thursday at 8 o'clock, I gotta be watching. And then once it's gone, it's gone. I got a DVR it or something. No, the streaming service, it's there. Now I can watch it anytime. Go back, watch all the episodes. Part of the streaming service. That's what it is. Plus, it breaks the mold of cable television. You can do this thing online. You have a lot less restrictions. You can do all these different things. The thing that differentiates, I gotta disagree with you on this, Valhalla. The thing that differentiates like regular standard broadcast television and the streaming service, the thing that differentiates them has never been the binge model. Netflix did that, and that's cool, and some others do that too. But that's never been, to me, the thing that makes it really different. It's all the things that enable a streaming service to go binge if they want. I mean, that's a part of it too, is what goes into that. So I completely disagree. And by the way, like, here's the thing. This is what will happen. We're all talking about Dark Crystal Age of Resistance right now. 2 weeks, no one's going to be talking about it. It's just the way it is. Nobody talks about Stranger Things Season 3 anymore. Nobody talked about Punisher Season 2. 8 days after that thing dropped, nobody talked about it anymore. Everybody watched it. Everybody liked it. And then they were done. That's it. No more. Nobody's talking about it anymore. Same thing with Daredevil Season 3. It came out, it was great. 2 weeks later, nobody was talking about it anymore. And, you know, Dark Crystal just dropped, and we're all excited about it and buzzing about it. I still got 2 more episodes to finish. But after that, no one's going to be talking about it anymore. I've said it before, I will say it again. As a viewer, I do like the binging model of just dropping a series and dropping it all at once. As a viewer, I like that. But from a business point of view, what is best for the show is to release week after week. That's what's best for the show. You know, yay, everybody's talking about this show for 1 week, but wouldn't you rather have everybody talking about your show nonstop constantly for 2 months or 3 months? Isn't that better? The longer people are talking about it, the more opportunities for other people to catch on to the buzz and jump in and start watching from the beginning, which you can do with a streaming service. Can't do that with regular broadcast television. Go back to episode 1, start watching them all, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's just it's just much, much better. It's much, much better. That's why HBO has done it that way for a long time. You know, even though they are basically primarily a streaming service now, and they know it. They do the week by week thing because people catch on, people talk, people buzz, and then that keeps the momentum going. That's how I got caught on to Chernobyl. Because for 3 weeks straight, everybody's talking about it for 3 weeks straight. Had it been all dropped at once, people would have talked about it for 72 hours and then never mentioned it again, and I might not have got turned on to it. So I like the binging model, I do, but by far the smarter thing is the week by week model. If you have good shows. If you have crap shows, it doesn't matter. But if you have good content, dropping it week by week, and that's why we see Netflix is starting to dip their toes in that a little bit, right? The reports have been coming out that Netflix is going to start to play with this a little bit. They got like one show, maybe 2 shows. They're going to try experimenting with it a little bit. That's going to be the way of the future with them. That's why Disney Plus is going to do a week-by-week thing, because they know it's the smarter way to do it. You'll get more people will get caught on to the show if you go week by week. You'll get more longer, drawn-out, sustained buzz for your show if it's week by week. If the show is good, and that's the big asterisk here. The show's got to be quality. But if it is, week by week is by far the smarter way to do it. So we'll see how it all kind of turns out. Tom writes, finally watched Taxi Driver today. Now, I just had somebody writing who finally saw King Comedy. Finally watched Taxi Driver today. It was deeply unsettling. It absolutely is to me, but so good. That ending is going to leave me thinking about it for a while. Also, who knew Martin Scorsese could steal a scene? You know, it's because he's in the car, right? It's a great scene. The last time I watched Taxi Driver, this is a great example. Me and Dennis, you guys know my friend Dennis Zen. Dennis and I flew to New York because we got invited last minute. Said they're doing a special 40th anniversary screening of Taxi Driver in New York. Do you want to come down and interview Martin Scorsese at the event? And we're like, I hate flying and I don't like going to New York, but we were like, yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. So Dennis and I hopped on a plane, went down, and we were at one of the Directors Guild's theaters down there and watched Taxi Driver with Scorsese there and a bunch of people. It was a wonderful event. Great to see. And it is one of the all-time. If you guys haven't had a chance to see Taxi Driver yet, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to watch Taxi Driver because it's so good. All right, hold on a second. I had a bit of a jump here. That was Tom. Now, Ben Rayner goes, and just the last couple of questions here, guys. We're at 2.5 hours. We're going to have to wrap it up here. Ben Rayner writes, I'm confused. Isn't the Birds of Prey trailer, already on YouTube? I thought I watched it yesterday. Nice tie-in with it too. Maybe I'm mistaken. Yeah, but I think that's the Russian-Ukrainian version that got leaked online. If you saw an English version, it's probably a leak. It's not the official release, so just keep your mind on that as well. All right. And Colin Z writes, always appreciate Erin's insight into the movie business. Because we forget, like, we talk about the movies. Erin is in the movie business. She is a working Hollywood actress. So it's always kind of really cool to actually get her perspective. Because not just because she was in movies and TV shows, she is currently ongoing in movies and TV shows. And it's always great to get her perspective, which is always a little bit different from ours. I love getting that. And that's one of the reasons why I love having her on here. All right. I just saw, now, okay, we'll go back to Stubble McSave at 948, but I saw somebody put in like a monster. Yeah, okay. So K Major sends in a really big super chat here. So we're going to end off on this one, guys. And then for the rest of you guys, don't worry, I'm going to answer your questions in a separate companion video later today. By the way, I should mention, I didn't end up doing a companion video for yesterday's show. The reason I didn't, it was because I noticed that there was only like 5 or 10 minutes worth of questions left over from yesterday's show. So what I thought I would do is I'm going to take those questions from yesterday and do them in one single companion video with the remaining questions from today. So there is a companion video coming today, and I'm going to combine yesterday's leftover questions with today's leftover questions. So anyway, that's why you didn't see one for yesterday. Anyway, last question we're getting here today from K Major, who sends in a really big super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel on that level, K Major. I appreciate it, man. He writes, John, this is for mentioning my favorite and what I believe is the greatest series finale and song. Book of Love is awesome. Scrubs is my number one series. You rock, dude. It's a great, and by the way, I should clarify that after that final season with Zach Braff, they did pick up Scrubs. They moved Scrubs to a different network, and they did one more season of Scrubs without Zach Braff. It wasn't any good. I tried watching one episode of it, and I'm like, no, this doesn't work. Because they changed the feel of it, too, and it just didn't work. It was on a new network. But what, to me, was the true finale of that series was that last one with Zach Braff still there. And it's Zach Braff imagining his future. Right? It's him imagining his future. And with the girl he loves and, you know, his best friend and then his best friend having kids and him and his girl having kids and blah, blah, blah. And they play Book of Love as a finale. It's a really good ending. You know, we often talk on this show, K Major, about even some of the best shows in television history have had very bad series finales, right? Even a lot of the best, Seinfeld's a great example of that. One of the greatest shows of all time, terrible series finale. A lot of shows suffer from that. It's really hard to nail that final episode. It's a difficult thing, but I think that Scrubs did it right. It was a beautiful ending. It felt like the ending to a series, and it was a beautiful moment using that song Book of Love. And I'm so glad that you got excited by the mention of that, because it's really a beautiful moment. It's really fantastic. So thank you for that, K Major. And again, thanks for supporting the channel on that level. That's huge. Thank you very much. All right. That will do it for today, guys. Again, we're going to go back and we'll collect all the questions starting, I think, at, Ben Raynor's question. That we got to Ben Raynor's, and starting at Stubble McShave's question all the way down. All of you guys who sent in those questions, your questions are getting answered in a video today, combined with yesterday's questions. Keep your eyes open for that companion video a little bit later. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, guys, and being part of the film fan community. Special thanks to Erin and Kris, who were here a little bit earlier today. They will, of course, be back tomorrow. Robert Meyer Burnett joins me tomorrow for, normally I do Friday shows alone, but Robert Meyer Burnett's going to come in tomorrow. I know he was supposed to be on last Friday too, but work came up and he couldn't do it, but he is going to be here tomorrow, so keep your eyes open for that. Special thanks to all you guys who sent in Super Chat questions. You gave us fun things to talk about, and you supported the channel while you're doing that, and we thank you for that. Once again, guys, don't forget, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Take a moment before you click away. Go down and click the thumbs up button on this thing, and make sure you join the conversation and leave a comment in the comments section below. That will do it for me for now, guys. Thank you so much for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.